Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Am I audible and visible? Good afternoon, Madhuri. Okay, good. Let some more people join in and I begin. Kola, good afternoon. Anupali, happy Holi. Other Binda, happy. Hello. Right. So we covered the Cholas before lunch break. Any doubts regarding the Cholas? Usna, good afternoon. Bharat Raj, good afternoon. Any doubts, any questions regarding whatever we have done till now? All of you are clear. Good afternoon, Hemalata. Everything is clear till whatever we have done? Okay, great. So let us start with the Pandyas. Let's start with the Pandyas. Now, um, nothing much to, frankly speaking, nothing much to speak about the Pandyas. You see on your screen, they ruled in two installments, 6 to the 10th century AD, and then 13 to the 14th century AD. Now, the Pandyas, Pandyas during the Sangam age. So during the Sangam age, roughly 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. You know this. So the Pandyas made outstanding contribution towards development of Tamil literature. So Tamil literature developed during the period of the Pandyas. We have three sangams. Three sangams are supposed to have taken place at Madurai, isn't it? Three sangams took place at Madurai. Madurai was the capital of the Pandyas, and a vast body of literature was composed in Tamil. Um, So in the Sangam age, the Pandyas contributed greatly towards development of Tamil literature. But then after the Sangam age, the history of the Pandyas is pretty hazy. We are not very sure about what happened in the deep south because we have the rule of the Kalabras for almost 4 centuries. And later we have a combination of the Pallavas, the Pandyas, and the Chalukyas. They joined together and they overthrew the Kalabras. They overthrew the Kalabaras, and again we have the Pandyas coming back. Again, we have the Pandyas and the Cholas coming back. Now, what you need to understand is in this topic called Pandyas. Initially, the Pandyas fought against both the Pallavas and the Cholas. Pallavas and then the Cholas. So this was a triangular fight. Pallavas fighting against Cholas, and Pandyas fighting also against the Pallavas, and then the successors of the Pallavas, the Cholas. And early Pandyas were weaklings; they were weak rulers. So Pallavas and the Cholas always won against the Pandyas, right? And then later the Cholas supplanted the Pallavas. But then after Kulatunga the first, understand this. What I said is Pandyas kept on getting defeated repeatedly by the Pallavas and then the Cholas. But then after the death of Kulatunga the first, the Chola king, after Kulatunga the first died, the Cholas became weak. And then we have the resurgence of the Pandyas. The Pandyas came back in full might. They killed the last Chola kings, Kulatunga the third, then Rajendra the third, they were killed. And then 13th century, 1300 AD, we have till the 14th century AD. That is till for about 100 years, they dominated the Pandyas. So entire 13th century onwards, they dominated. So this is the gist of the Pandyas. And of course, we have the attack of Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur came to South India, the general of Alauddin Khalji. He defeated all the southern kings except the Pandyas. He was not able to decisively defeat the Pandyas. Right? So this is the gist of this topic. So we'll talk about it. Right? So we'll come back here. So you can see here the Pallavas were succeeded by the Cholas. The Pallavas were succeeded by the Cholas. And then you have the Pandyas here. Pandyas also ruling here. So initially the Pandyas were defeated by the Pallavas and the Cholas, and then the Pandyas were ultimately responsible for overthrowing the Chola rule. Did you understand what I just now said? Did you understand what I just now said? So Pallavas, the Pandyas kept on getting defeated by the Pallavas and the Cholas, and ultimately later the Pandyas were able to supplant the Cholas. So we'll come back here. You see on your screen, during the Sangam age, the Pandyas played a very important role in the development of Tamil literature. 3 Sangams took place at Madurai, the capital of the Pandyas. Then in the post-Sangam period, there is a lot of confusion. And ultimately, we get clarity again in the last quarter of the 6th century AD when we have the Pandyas, the Pallavas, and the Chalukyas of Badami joining together and overthrowing the Kalabras. So, political history of the Pandyas, let us talk about it. Kundangon, he was the one who liberated the Pandya country from Kalabra domination. So Kundangon was the Pandya king, along with Pallavas and Chalukyas, liberated the Pandya country from Kalabara domination. He is supposed to have made Korkai his capital. Korkai, on the banks of the Tamiraparni river, in the Toothukudi district of Tamil Nadu. So Korkai was his capital. And Hyun Sang visited South India during his period. Though he never personally visited the Pandyan kingdom, he calls the Pandya kingdom as Malakota or Malakotta. And Hyun Sang tells us that Buddhism was in a moribund condition. That is, it was weak. Buddhism had become weak, whereas Brahmanism and Jainism were popular in the south. So Kundangon liberated the Pandya country from Kalabra domination and made Korkai his capital. Korkai on the banks of the Tamiraparni river in the Toothukudi district of Tamil Nadu. And Hyun Sang calls this Pandya country as Malakota or Malakotta. Kundangon. Then we come to the 4th king, Arikesari Maravarman. Arikesari Maravarman. So here, keep this in mind. Pallavas kept on defeating the Pandyas repeatedly, including the Cholas. Later, the Cholas also defeated the Pandyas. But later, after Kulatunga the first, Pallavas, the Cholas became weak, and the Pandyas were able to overthrow the Cholas. So Arikesari Maravarman, 4th king, during his period, we have the Pandya Pallava feud, the conflict between the Pandyas and the Pallavas that began during his period. Arikesari Maravarman, 4th king. Then Kochadayan Ranadhira, he conquered the Kongu country and took the title Kongar Koman. Then Varaguna the first or Nedun Jadayan, Varaguna the first or Nedun Jadayan. So he was the greatest imperialist of the dynasty. So we have this Velvikudi grant. Velvikudi grant. So in this, it talks about the military achievements of Nedun Jadayan or Varaguna the first. He is supposed to have defeated an alliance of the Pallavas, Cheras, kings of Kongu, and he conquered the present districts of Salem, Coimbatore, Tiruchirappalli, Tanjavur districts. So Varaguna the first, greatest imperialist of the dynasty. Then Srimara Sri Ballava, he was defeated by the Pallava king Nandivarman III. So Pallavas again defeated the Pandyas. Then Varaguna Varman II, again defeated by the Pallava king Aparajita. So Pandyas kept on getting defeated. So these details are not very important. Just understand the gist of it. I've already told you. Pallavas and the Cholas repeatedly defeated the Pandyas initially, right? Later, the Pandyas were able to overthrow the Cholas. Then again, Maravarman Rajasimha II, again he was defeated by Parantaka Chola. Parantaka defeated him. and conquered Madurai, right? Then Kulashekara Pandya. Kulashekara Pandya, he was the one who built the main shrine of the Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple at Madurai. The main Garbhagriha was built by him, Kulashekara Pandya, Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple at Madurai. So Shiva, Parvati is called Meenakshi, the fish-eyed goddess as she's called. And another name for Shiva is Sundaresha. So Shiva is called Sundareshwara in that temple, right? So this is the idol of Meenakshi and Sundareshwara. Then with the decline of Chola power, so Kulatunga the first, after him the Chola power declined, and we have Maravarman Sundara Pandya. He was able to defeat Kulatunga the third, Rajaraja the third, and burnt Urayur and Tanjavur. These were the early and the later capitals of the Cholas. Urayur, the Sangam Cholas had Urayur as their capital, early capital, and of course Tanjavur was also burnt. And then we have the glorious period of Pandya imperialism throughout the 13th century. They dominated. Okay, throughout the 13th century, you have the domination of the Pandyas, right? Kongu is Kongu is a part of Tamil Nadu. Kola, Meenakshi, see, Puja. So Kongu is a part of Tamil Nadu, consisting of present-day Salem, Tiruchirappalli, then Coimbatore, those areas. That was called Kongu country. Then Meenakshi temple, you see, Pooja is asking Meenakshi story. See, Parvati is supposed to have taken the form of Meenakshi, the fish-eyed goddess. She became the princess of the Pandyas, who Meenakshi. So Parvati had been reborn as the princess of the Pandyas, Meenakshi. And then Shiva came down to earth. And then he recognized her. And then later he married her. He won her over, and then he married her. And this marriage is supposed to have taken place in this temple. So it's called Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple. Very interestingly, um, you have the main idol is of course of Meenakshi. She is the Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple. So this is a goddess temple, and in adjoining small cell you have Shiva also. Shiva Linga is also there. So every night, and this is a tradition in this temple, we have the sandals, the small shoes, golden shoes of Shiva. They are taken from his cell and kept near the idol of Meenakshi every night before the temple door is closed. So that husband and wife, the belief is, the understanding is husband and wife should sleep together. Next morning, the golden sandals are again carried back to the cell of Shiva and kept there till the last puja finishes, and then again in the night it is kept back in the Garbhagriha along with the Meenakshi's idol. So this is to see that husband and wife sleep together. So this is the understanding. Even now, this practice is followed in this temple, Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple. Interesting, right? So this is about the Pandyas. And then this is the Vettuvan Kovil, Kalugumalai, Tamil Nadu. So this particular temple, this is a hill, a small hill has been excavated into a temple, carved into a temple. It belongs to the period of the Pandya king Nedunjadayan. So this is called Vettuvan Kovil, very near to Kanyakumari. And later we have similar structures built at Mamalapuram, Kalugumalai. So almost at the same time, you have freestanding structures developed at Mamalapuram and Kalugumalai, and of course the zenith is reached under the Rashtrakutas, the Kailasa temple at Ellora. So this is one of the Shiva temples, very near to Kanyakumari, right? It's an unfinished Shiva temple. Vettuvan Kovil, Kalugumalai, Tamil Nadu. Okay, entire hill has been carved into a temple, but it is incomplete. Okay, so let us come to, this is about the Pandyas. Did you understand Pandyas? Gist of the Pandya story, again I repeat. Initially, Pandyas in the Sangam age played a very important role in the development of Tamil literature. But after the end of the Sangam age, we don't know much about the Pandyas. Then later, after the end of the Kalabra rule, you have the Pandyas getting repeatedly defeated by the Pallavas and the Cholas. Finally, it was the Pandyas who were able to supplant the Cholas. Once the Kulatunga died, Chola king died, Cholas became weak. And entire 13th century dominated. Right? Now let us come to the Hoysalas. What do you know about Hoysalas? Hello, anybody? What do you know about Hoysalas? Anybody? If you okay, no, nothing. Kola says no. Okay, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. Anybody? Halebeedu and Belur. Okay, Pooja. So Belur and Halebeedu were the capitals in the Hassan district of Karnataka. 3 temples got UNESCO status. Very good, Jia. Recently, Hoysala temples were in the news. So they have got they are included in the permanent list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Nikhil says star shaped temple. Very good, Nikhil. So they built temples in the form of a star shape. Very good. Okay, so you know something about the Hoysalas. So let us talk about the Hoysalas. So you see the the early Hoysalas were the feudatories of the Kalyana Chalukyas. So they were under the Kalyana Chalukyas. And once the Kalyana Chalukya kingdom became weak, the Hoysalas proclaimed themselves independent. They ruled the Malenad area of Karnataka. They came from the Malnad area of Karnataka. Malnad area is rainfall area, hilly area or rainfall area of Karnataka. They were there. They have been identified with Sosayuru. So Sosayuru, that was their original name, original homeland. Sosayuru, identified with modern Angadi in the Chikmagalur district of Karnataka. You can see here. So they've been identified with Sosayuru. It was founded at Sosayuru, Angadi in Chikmagalur district in the Malnadu area of Karnataka. Male in Kannada is rain. Nad is area. So hilly or rainfall area of Karnataka. Now let me tell you a story as to how the name Hoysala has come about. Hoysala, Hoysala. You can see here on your screen there is a hero who is killing a tiger. Okay, he's killing a tiger with a sword. He's poking the tiger with his sword. Now there's a story behind this. Let me tell you the story as to how the name Hoysala came about. So the story goes like this. Um, so there was one boy called Sala. So there was a boy called Sala, and he was in an ashram of his guru Sudatta Muni. Sudatta Muni. Muni means sage. So the guru's name was Sudatta, and he was in the ashram of this guru. He was a student. His name was Sala, right? And the guru was giving discourse. He was giving teachings to his students. So this is the tree, the ground level. This is a tree. Let's say this is a tree, shady tree. Okay, these are all the branches. And the guru was sitting here. This is the guru sitting here, and all the students were sitting on the floor. Right? And the guru was teaching the students. Sala was a backbencher. So this is Sala sitting here. Okay, he was a backbencher. He was sitting in the last bench on the floor. And the guru, as he was teaching, he saw something approaching from behind. He saw a tiger. So a tiger was slowly crawling upon Sala. And generally, tigers attack from the rear. If you do not know this, they attack from the rear. There's an element of surprise, and they like to attack like this from the rear, and they pounce upon their prey from the rear. So even in Sundarbans, if you go to Sundarbans, you have the tribals who live along with the tigers there in the Sundarban, mangroves. So they put a mask behind their head to fool the tiger. To fool the tiger, they put a mask, a human mask. So as if they are able to see the tiger, and most of the times the tiger gets fooled. So here, a tiger was slowly, crawling upon Sala to pounce upon Sala. So just as the tiger was about to pounce, the guru Sudatta Muni is supposed to have thrown a staff, a sword at Sala, and he called out loudly. He called out loudly, "Poi sala." That is, hit sala. Poi sala. Old Kannada. Poi means hit sala. So Salah held that dagger or a sword, and he thrust the sword into the chest of the tiger, and the tiger died. So this and from the word Poisala has come about the word Hoysala. From the word Poisala has come about the word Hoysala. So this is the story. Did you get me? Hello? So here I have told you origin of the word Hoysala. So story Sudatta Muni, head of the Gurukul, and Poisala, how it came about. Interesting. Now, now look here, understand this. If I ask you uh, whether it is so easy to kill a tiger, what would be your answer? Is it so easy to kill a tiger like that? How many of you agree to this story? All brave kings killing a tiger. Okay. Nikhil, have you seen a tiger? Have you seen a tiger? I'm sure you would have seen in the zoo. But why is it behind the zoo? Why is it not roaming around the streets? Huh? If it was so easy to kill a tiger, you have seen a big ferocious dog, a bulldog or a pit bull or a German shepherd, which is very ferocious. Even a street dog, when it's very ferocious and it shows its canine, we start shivering, right? So we are scared. So it's not easy. It's okay in the movies and all that. Stories are all there, but then not easy. Now, what is the meaning of this? Understand this. Understand the meaning. This story is told by the guides there. Local guides are there. If you go there to Belur, Halebid, and other temples there, the government guide will tell you this story. Wonderful story. But then there is actually another story. There's a symbolic significance to this story. Understand this. What was the emblem of the tiger of the Cholas? What was the emblem of the Cholas? You all know this. Just now we have done the Cholas. Tiger. Very good, Jia. Tiger. So tiger was the emblem. Himali also says tiger. Very good. So this was the emblem of the Cholas, tiger. Okay, now there was a king of the Hoysalas. His name was Vishnuvardhana. Okay, so there was a king called Vishnuvardhana, Hoysala king. So you know what he did? So he was the greatest of the Hoysalas. Vishnuvardhana, also called Bitti Deva. We'll come to that in some time. This Vishnuvardhana defeated the Cholas. Okay, he defeated the Cholas and drove away the Cholas from the Kannada speaking areas. What is now Kannada speaking areas? Once upon a time were ruled by the Cholas. Okay, so he drove away the Cholas after conquering Talakadu and Nolambavadi. Talakadu and Nolambavadi were under the Cholas. So Vishnuvardhana, the Hoysala king, defeated the Cholas and conquered Talakadu and Nolambavadi and took the title Talakadu Ganda, Nolambavadi Ganda, conqueror of Talakadu and conqueror of Nolambavadi. So here Hoysala king has driven away the Cholas from the Kannada speaking areas. And this particular achievement of Vishnuvardhana is shown symbolically like this. It is here literally Vishnuvardhana driving away the Cholas from the Kannada speaking area. But this is shown in the form of Salah killing the tiger. Did you understand? It's not that really he killed a tiger. It is just that Vishnuvardhana defeated the Cholas and threw them away from the Kannada speaking areas. So this is the meaning of that. Okay, not really that Salah killed a tiger. So anyway, we'll come back here. So Hoysalas, they originally were from Sosayuru. That was their original home place. Later they made Belur and later Halebid as their capitals. They were one of the feudatories of the Kalyana Chalukyas. So initially they ruled from Belur and later Dwara Samudra or Halebidu as their capital. So Hoysala, he was a founder. Salah, he was a founder. Then Vinayaditya transferred the capital from Sosayuru to Belur, Vinayaditya. Then Vishnuvardhana was the greatest of the Hoysalas. He conquered Talakadu and Nolambavadi from the Cholas and assumed the titles Talakadu Ganda, Nolambavadi Ganda. Right? And he constructed the following temples to commemorate his victory. So he built two temples to celebrate his victory over the Cholas. And later he built other temples. So remember these two temples. Kirti Narayana temple at Talakadu. Kirti Narayana temple at Talakad. This was built by him. And Chennakeshava temple or Vijaya Narayana temple at Belur. It took 103 years to build this temple. Chennakeshava temple at Belur was also built by him. Vijaya Narayana or Chennakeshava temple at Belur. So he built two temples. One at Talakadu. That is, Talakad is near Mysore. Talakadu, Mysore district. Right? Kirti Narayana temple and Chennakeshava temple at Belur. So why is he, what is the meaning of Chennakeshava temple? So I'm sure some of you must have visited these temples, Belur, Halebid, Somnathpura, etc. Some particularly people from Karnataka, they must have visited and seen these temples. What is the meaning of Chennakeshava? If you see, hello, are you there with me, all of you? Okay. Now, what is the meaning of Chennakeshava? Here we see Vishnu shown in these temples. Vishnu is shown in a more feminine grace. The statue of Vishnu, the main idol of Vishnu, is shown with a feminine grace. That is, Vishnu's statue has a little breast, like females have breasts. Then his hips are a little wider, like the women have wider hips to aid in child rearing, child bearing. So naturally they have a wider hip. Nature has made it like that. So here, let us understand this. There's a story behind this as to why Vishnu is shown as a female, right? And I believe this episode happened in this area where the Hoysalas were ruling. That's why they've shown Vishnu in a particular manner, in a more like a female than like a male. So this is the story of Basmasur, Basma, Basmasura. So there was a demon called Basmasur. There was a demon. His name was Basmasura, and he prayed to Shiva. Okay, he did penance to Shiva, and he impressed Shiva with his penance, with a very difficult penance he did, demon Basmasura, and Shiva appeared before him. So Shiva appeared, he was very happy, and he asked Basmasura, what do you want? You have pleased me with your penance. What do you want? So Basmasura said, you please give me a boon. Shiva said, you ask me, and then I'll give you. So Basmasura asked Shiva this very peculiar boon. Uh, he asked Shiva, on whosever head I keep my palm, on whosever head I keep my palm, that person should be burned to ashes. So please grant me that boon. So Shiva is called Bholenath, innocent. So without thinking, Shiva said Tatastu. Okay, boon is granted. So this Bhasmasura was very happy, but he wanted to also check whether really the boon is going to work. So he tried to put his palm on Shiva's head to see whether it's going to burn him. And please understand, Shiva, when he said Tatastu, that means that boon will also work on him. He never thought, he did not make an exception. He should have said, except me and other gods, whomever you keep your head palm on, that person is burned to ashes. He never said that. He said Tatastu. So here, Bhasmasura tried to put his palm on Shiva's forehead, and Shiva began to run away. He began to run because it will work on him and he'll be burned to ashes. And Bhasmasura, criminal-minded fellow, demon, he began to chase Shiva, and he thought, let me kill Shiva, and then I can marry Parvati. So demon, demon's brain. So Shiva began to run for his life, followed by Bhasmasur, and Shiva came running to his best friend Vishnu. So Vishnu is his best friend, and he narrated the incident to Vishnu and told Vishnu, this fellow is trying to apply my own boon on my head, on myself. So please save me. So Vishnu said, Tum chup jao, you hide and they'll take care of him. And Vishnu took the form of a beautiful Apsara called Mohini. Okay, Nikhil knows the name Mohini. So he took the form of Mohini. Nobody on the earth or anywhere else would be as beautiful as Mohini. Your Miss Universe is also nothing in front of Mohini. So she was that beautiful, Vishnu, as a form of Mohini. So she appears before Bhasmasura. Bhasmasura was searching for Shiva, and then he sees Mohini, who is actually Vishnu. And he has never seen anybody as beautiful as Mohini. He falls in love with her. Bhasmasura. He forgets about chasing Shiva. he wants to possess her. He wants to marry Mohini. So he proposes, I would like to marry you. So Mohini is supposed to have told Bhasmasura, replied to him, I love to dance. I like to dance, and if somebody is able to impress me with his dance, then I might consider marrying that person. I cannot marry anybody just like that. They should please me with their dance because I love to dance. Bhasmasura tells Mohini that definitely he will please her with his dance, and he's a good dancer. He must have never danced in his life till then. But anyway, Mohini starts dancing, Bharatanatyam, and Bhasmasura also is totally focused on Mohini, and he's trying to copy step for step whatever actions she's making by uh, hand and feet. He is also copying that, and it's totally focused on Mohini, trying to please her. So Mohini, continues to dance. Bhasmasura continues to copy her and tries to impress her. And after a few hours, Vishnu confirms that Bhasmasura has forgotten about that vow. In one particular pose, you have Mohini putting her hand on top of her head, and Bhasmasura puts his palm above his head, and he is burned to ashes. So this is Bhasmasura's story, right? Now, I believe this incident where Bhasmasura was burnt to ashes, Vishnu coming as Mohini, and Bhasmasura getting burnt to ashes by, with his own palm, all happened in this area. In this area where you have the Hoysalas ruling, right? And therefore, Vishnu in these temples, in the Hoysala temples, Vishnu is shown more with a feminine grace. Vishnu has a breast, a small breast, like that of a female, a wider hip, like that of a female, etc. Right? So that's why it's called Channa Keshava, or Vijayanarayana temple. So he built that. Then he also constructed other temples. Cheluva Narayana Swami temple at Melkote. Melkote is where Ramanujacharya came running, and he took shelter there in Melukote. The former chief minister of Tamil Nadu, Amma, as she was called, Jayalalitha, she was from this place called Melukote. She was a Melukote Brahmin. So Cheluva Narayana Swami temple at Melukote, Veera Narayana temple at Gadag. So Gadag is in very near to Belgaum. Then Nambi Narayana temple in Tondanur. So all these were the temples constructed by Vishnuvardhana after defeating the Cholas. He built two temples. One is at Belur, that is the Channakeshava temple, and the other is at Talakkad, Kirtinarayana temple. Then also remember the other temples. Then Vishnuvardhana's queen Shantala Devi was the one who built the Kappe Channigaraya temple. Kappe Channigaraya temple. Kappe in Kannada means frog, as you know. Kappe means frog. So it's called Frog Channigaraya temple. This is at Belur, and the Savati Gandharvana Basadi at Shravana Belgola. So again, there's a story regarding this Kappe Channigaraya temple. I think I'll skip the story. We'll go back. When Shantala Devi is associated with the construction of the Kappe Channigaraya temple. Shantala Devi was his queen. Then we'll go to this is the Channakeshava temple at Belur. You can see it's in the form of a star shape. We'll discuss about Hoysala architecture when we do art and culture, right? Then the general of Vishnuvardhana, Ketamalla, constructed the Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara temple. These are twin temples, Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara temple. Pooja wants a story. It's okay, Pooja. I mean, doesn't matter. Nothing great about the story. So his general, who's general, Vishnuvardhana's general, Ketamalla, constructed the Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara temple at Belur. At Halebed, I'm sorry. So it was completed by King Ballala II in 11. We will remember. Okay. So we'll come back here. She wants the story. What about others? Kappe Chanigaraya temple. So why is it called Kappe? Okay. So I'll tell you the story. So here at Belur, temple was being constructed. Okay. Why is it called Kappe Channigaraya temple? So the Channigaraya temple was being constructed. Yeah, Jira says we can skip. Okay, Jia, we will skip then. Jia says we can skip. So not very important for the exam point of view. Therefore, we can always skip. Okay, I think most of them want the story, Jia. You can close your ears. Then I'll tell the story. We can skip, says Zainab. Okay. I'm in a quandary now. Some want it, some don't want it. Anyway, since I've started it, I'll finish it. Maybe I'll avoid other stories. So here we have this temple called Chennigaraya temple. Okay, there's a temple called Chennigaraya temple. It's a short story only. So Chennigaraya temple. So this construction was going on, and there was a chief sculptor. His name was Jakkannachari. So Jakkanna, you can see here. I mentioned in the box, in the bracket. Okay, so his name was Jakkanna. So he was the chief sculptor. He was sculpting the temple, and almost the temple was on the verge of completion. The main idol was being carved, and that temple was completed. The idol was still yet to be completed by Jakkannachari. So Chandigaraya is a form of Vishnu Chandigaraya. So then we have the king and the queen coming for an inspection. Vishnuvardhana and his queen Shantala Devi. They came for an inspection, and they began to praise Jakanna. What a beautiful temple you have sculpted, and of course, the final, the Murti, the final idol of God, Chandigaraya also is looking very beautiful. It's coming out very beautifully. So, and Jakanna was focusing on his job. And then came his son Dakkanna. Dakkanna was his son. So he had gone somewhere, and he comes to meet his father, and he sees this statue being sculpted by his father. And Dakkanna told his father, the king and the queen were present, told his father that please stop sculpting this particular statue because there's a defect in this statue. So Jakkanna, there's a defect in the stone. The stone which you're using to carve the statue of the main idol, there's a defect in the stone. Therefore, you stop carving or sculpting. So Jakkanna got very angry with his son. He said, I have taught you everything. All the skill of sculpting has been taught by me. And you're teaching me which is the right stone and which is the wrong stone. So his son, Dakkanna, is supposed to have replied, of course, father, I have learned everything from you. But then what I'm telling is the truth. And therefore, I have told you to stop it. If you want, I can prove it. So Jakkanna, the father, is supposed to have challenged Dakkanna, his son. He said, if you are able to prove it, that there's a defect in the stone, then I'll cut away my wrist. I'll never sculpt again. I'll cut away my wrist and I'll stop sculpting. So this was this vow was taken by Jakkanna to the amazement of everybody. But then Dakkanna, he took a wooden piece. He began to tap on that stone, the idol of Chandigaraya, which was being sculpted. He began to tap, and then at one point near the tummy portion, when he was tapping with lightly with the wooden piece, he heard a hollow sound. So he took a hammer, and then he hit that place. He hit that place with the hammer. So of course there was a hollow inside, which should not have been there. And then the stone broke, and a small frog and some water came out of it. So that was not the apt stone for the idol of the main god, or for that matter, any idol. So Dakkanna had proved himself right. So it is said that Jakkanna, he quickly took a sword or a dagger from one of the soldiers who was standing next to him, and he cut away his wrist. And then, it started bleeding profusely. Everybody was shocked. Even the king and the queen were shocked. But then, because of the grace of Lord Chandigaraya, miraculously, the wrist again attached itself. And then the father and son later jointly carved the idol of uh, God Chandigaraya. So this is a story behind Kappe Chandigaraya temple. So that's a story. We'll come back here. So then the general of Vishnuvardhana, Ketamalla, he constructed the joint temples, Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara temple. But this temple was completed by King Ballara II. And then we have the Keshava temple at Somanathpur. So be very careful about Hoysala architecture this year. They can ask you a question in the prelims from the political history of the Hoysalas, or from the art and architecture part, in the prelims or in the mains, or in both they can ask. So be very careful, because recently they have been included in the World Heritage List. So Keshava temple at Somanathpur, built by Soma Dandanayaka. So this is Somanathpur, about 25 kilometers from Mysore, much before Mysore. This temple is there. The person who built it was the commander of Narsimha III, the King Narsimha III's commander, Soma Dandanayaka. Dandanayaka means commander, right? So in 1268 he built it, 13th century temple. So this is the Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara temples. These are twin temples. So here you have Madanakai's bracket figures like this. So it is known for its beautiful sculptures, Hoysala architecture. They use the locally available soapstone. They use the soapstone chloritic schist. It is called chloritic schist. So the unique aspect of this stone is it is pretty soft, not butter soft. To a large extent, it is soft. It is not as hard as granite when the carving is being done. Once the carving is finished, over a period of time, it slowly becomes harder and harder. So that is the uniqueness of this of this particular stone. The locally available soapstone or chloritic schist, and another stone called kanashile, locally available stone called kanashile. These are the two type of stones used in the Hoysala temples, and it's called jeweler's art. Hoysala architecture is called jeweler's art simply because you have intricate carvings, detailed carvings, like in a women's gold, marriage jewels. During marriage, women wear jewels, costly jewels, and depending upon the design, the cost also is more because they have intricate carvings made in gold. Like that, in stone, we have intricate carvings made in stone in the Hoysala temples. Right? We will discuss in detail about Hoysala temples when we do art and architecture. So this is a Nandi in the Hoysaleshwara temple. According to the ASI, Archaeological Survey India, Archaeological Survey of India, this is the most beautiful Nandi. This is the most beautiful Nandi anywhere in India. In any of the temples of India, this is the most beautiful. This is the award given by the ASI. Beautiful Nandi. In any temple in India, no other Nandi is as beautiful as this. So this is in the Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara temple. You can see the decorated Nandi with all the garland, etc. So vandals have scratched it here and there, but now they have put a fence. No, you cannot go and touch it. It's difficult to reach it. Then this is the Keshava temple at Somnathpur. It's a three-kuta temple. So you see in Hoysala temples, generally in a temple, how many garbhagrihas are there? Brihadeshwara temple in Gangaikoda Choleshwaram. Yeah, that is also UNESCO World Heritage Site. That is true, Atish. Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. Then the one at Gangakonda Cholapuram and the Airavateshwara at Kumbakonam. Not all temples. No, or not all temples are included, Kola. Only three temples are included. That is the one at Belur, Chennakeshwar temple, then the one at Halebid, Hoysaleshwara, Shantaleshwara, and the third is at Somnathpura. You can see here, this is one temple, Hoysaleshwara temple, Halebedu. So remember HH, Hoysaleshwara, Halebedu, HH. Okay, so HH you remember. Then we have the Chennakeshwar temple at Belur, this one, Chennakeshwar temple, built by Vishnuvardhana. And then we have the Somnathpur temple. This is the Keshava temple at Somnathpur. These three temples are included in the in the UNESCO World Heritage List, permanent list. Now, in a temple, as you all know, there's only one Garbhagriha, right? But in Hoysala temples, there could be up to 5 Garbhagrihas. So a temple with one Garbhagriha is called Ekakuta. Ekakuta. One with 2 Garbhagrihas is called Dvikuta. One with 3 is called Trikuta. One with 4 is called Chatushkuta. Chatushkuta. One with 5 is called Panchakuta. So depending upon the number of cells, Garbhagrihas, there could be 1 to 5, up to 5. For example, the Keshava temple at Somnathpur is a Trikuta temple. So there are 3 idols here, Keshava, Venugopala and Janardhana. Of course, the Keshava idol is missing. So Keshava, Venugopala and Janardhana, these are the 3 idols here. So it's a Trikuta temple. And this temple has a 16-point star. This has got a 16-point star. So it is built in the form of a 16-point star, the Keshava temple at Somnathpur. Right? This is about Hoysala architecture in brief. And of course, we have the invasion of Malik Kafur, general of Alauddin Khalji. So he came to South India. Among the various South Indian kings he defeated was Veera Ballala III. Veera Ballala III of the Hoysalas was defeated. A certain amount of vandalization has happened there when Malik Kafur came attacking. So then he plundered and looted the South India, including the Hoysala kingdom. And the Hoysala kingdom lost its vitality, lost its strength. and later it was absorbed by the Vijayanagar kingdom. Harihara the first, Hakka Bukka, Harihara, later he conquered the Hoysala kingdom, and there was no more Hoysala kingdom after that. So this is about the Hoysalas. Okay, hello there, are you there with me? Panchakuta is one with five cells, five Garbhagrihas. Panch, no, Panchakuta, Panch. Any doubts here till now? Can I move on? Any doubts? Can we go to the Kakatiyas? Hello, all of you. Any doubts? Any questions? Okay, so let us go to the Kakatiyas of Varangal. So the Kakatiyas, they ruled over as parts of Orissa, present-day Andhra, and with their capital at Varangal or Oragallu. So initial capital was Hanumakonda. Initial capital was Hanumakonda, and later the capital was shifted to Varangal. So these are known as the Kakatiyas of Varangal. Kakati Devi was their family deity. Kakati Devi. Kakati Devi was their family goddess, and from there the name Kakatiyas come. That's where the name Kakatiya comes from. Kakatiya comes from the family deity Kakati Devi. Now the Kakatiyas are known for a few things. Let me tell you one by one. One is, of course, they gave a lot of importance to irrigation. They gave a lot of importance to irrigation, and they built dams with the sluice wire device, which had the sluice weir device. So they built dams with the sluice wire device. What is the meaning of sluice wire device? Wire device. That is, you see, you have the dam. Okay, you have the dam, and once the water fills to a particular level, you once it reaches the danger mark, then nowadays, manually it is opened. Manually, the dam doors are opened. So those days, something like that. Once the water filled up to a particular level, automatically the door of the dam will open and the water will flow down. So this is to avoid the dam getting damaged. This is called sluice wire device. So they use that, I believe. Secondly, we have the first temple in India, the only temple in India which is named after the sculptor. This is the Ramappa temple. Ramappa temple, built by the Kakatiyas, only temple named after its sculptor, Ramappa. So generally temples are named after the presiding deity. All over India that is the case. But here in this temple, we have the sculptor, the temple named after the chief sculptor, Ramappa. Third is, they built temples which were generally um, earthquake proof. So you have earthquake proof temples. How did they build this earthquake proof structures? You see, they used to make bricks. In the Kakatiya kingdom, you have bricks being made, right? So from a locally available fruit called myrobalan. So it is called in Telugu karakaya, I believe. Karakaya fruit. So karakaya fruit. So this is found in a tree. In English, it is called myrobalan fruit. So this myrobalan fruit was crushed, and along with locally available mud, etc., they will make these bricks. These bricks, the unique aspect about these bricks are it's very, very light. So this type of bricks were used in the foundation of their temples and also on the spire. So that adds to the lightness of the spire. It becomes very light. At the same time, when there's a tremor, when there's an earthquake, the seismic waves are absorbed by these bricks. So we have so many tremors in that area down the centuries which have happened. But the temples built by the Kakatiyas have not been damaged because of the unique bricks they used. They also float on water. These bricks float on water. They're light. At the same time, they're able to absorb the seismic waves generated by the earthquakes. So that is very unique to the Kakatiyas. And number four is, of course, we have the Kohinoor diamond. The Kohinoor diamond was mined in the Golconda mines during the Kakatiya period. Kohinoor diamond, Kohinoor. So Kohinoor diamond belongs to the Kakatiya period. It is now in the tiara of the Queen of England. So the crown of the Queen. So that's called. So it is, and it is decorating her crown. So it is in England now. The Kohinoor diamond. So it was mined in the Golconda mines, which were in the Kakatiya kingdom. Fifthly, we have Marco Polo. Marco Polo, he was a Venetian traveler, traveler from Venice, Italy. So he came to India during the period of the Kakatiyas. Rani Rudrama Devi was the queen. Rani Rudrama Devi. Rudrama Devi. She was one of the few queens of Indian history. So he enters India through the Motupalli port. Motupalli was an important port of the Kakatiyas. So he enters India through this Motupalli port, Marco Polo, and it speaks about Rani Rudrama Devi, about her bravery, etc. She had defeated the Yadavas of Devagiri, Rani Rudrama Devi. So, right? So Marco Polo came visiting India during that period. So here, the king, we have a king called Prataparudra II. So Prataparudra II, the Kakatiyas were ruled by this king. That is the time when Alauddin Khalji attacked the Kakatiya kingdom in 1303. 1303, Alauddin Khalji attacked Kakatiya kingdom, but the Kakatiyas were able to repel the attack of Alauddin Khalji. They were able to repel his attack. Then in 1310, again he attacked. This time, Prataparudra II was defeated and he agreed to pay tribute to Alauddin Khalji. So 1303, they repelled the attack of Alauddin Khalji. 1310, we have Prataparudra getting defeated and he agreed to pay tribute to Alauddin Khalji. Okay, now in 1316, Alauddin Khalji died. 1316, Alauddin Khalji died. Once Alauddin Khalji died, the Kakatiyas proclaimed themselves independent and they refused to pay tribute to Delhi. So as a result, in 1323, understand this, 1323, Muhammad bin Tughlaq defeated Prataparudra II. So he defeated Prataparudra II, took him captive and annexed his kingdom. So Kakatiyas were annexed, the kingdom was annexed, and MB Muhammad bin Tughlaq took Prataparudra captive and he was being taken to Delhi. So when they were trying to cross the Narmada river, the Delhi army along with their captive Prataparudra II, the Kakatiya king, Prataparudra II jumped into the Narmada and committed suicide. So he jumped into the Narmada and killed himself. And this was the end of the Kakatiya dynasty. Later, you have the Musunuri Nayakas, the local rulers, they all joined together and they reconquered Warangal from the Delhi Sultans and they began to rule. So this is about the Kakatiya dynasty. Did you understand? This is about the Kakatiya dynasty. All of you? Yeah? So we'll come back here. Are you clear? Gist of the Kakatiyas I have given you. All clear here? Hello? Can we move on? Okay, so Kakatiyas, you can see it on your screen, ruled Eastern Deccan, Telangana, Andhra, parts of Eastern Karnataka, Southern Odisha from between 12th and 14th centuries. Warangal was their capital. They were the feudatories of the Western Chalukyas of Kalyana. along with the Hoysalas and the Yadavas. They repelled the forces of Alauddin Khilji in 1303, were defeated in 1310, and then agreed to pay tribute. But later they were conquered by Ulugh Khan, that is Muhammad bin Tughlaq, in 1323, when he defeated Prataparudra and took him captive. So let us look at the important rulers. Rudra Deva, also called Prataparudra the First. He was the first important king, first independent ruler, and considered to be the founder of the dynasty. So Rudra Deva or Prataparudra the First was the founder of the Kakatiyas. Ganapati Deva, he was the person who ruled for the longest period of time. Ganapati Deva shifted the capital from Hanumakonda to Varangal. So this was the early capital, Hanumakonda. Later Varangal became the main capital. And he was the one who introduced the worship of Kakati Devi, the tutelary deity of the Kakatiyas, family goddess, Kakati Devi. So the word Kakatiya comes from there. So introduced the worship of Kakati Devi in the coastal regions of Andhra. Then Rani Rudrama Devi, one of the few queens in Indian history. Marco Polo, I told you, visited India during her period. He talks about Rudrama Devi's rule. Then Prataparudra II, last the ruler, zenith under him. So the Kakatiyas reached their zenith under him. And his achievements have been immortalized in this book called Prataparudra Yashobhushanam, written by Vidyanatha. So Vidyanatha, a scholar in his court, writes Prataparudra Yashobhushanam, which talks about the military achievements of all achievements of Prataparudra II, Prataparudra Yashobhushanam. In 1309, Malik Kafur defeated him, forced him to accept suzerainty. We have told you this. In 1323, Muhammad bin Tughlaq defeated him. MBT is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Prataparudra killed himself by drowning in the Narmada when he was being taken as captive. And later we have the Musnuri Nayakas who fought against the Delhi Sultans and proclaimed themselves independent. They united all the Telugu clans and recovered Warangal from the Delhi Sultans, the Musnuri Nayakas. So let us look at other aspects of the rule. Motupalli was the most important port of the Kakatiyas, Motupalli. Marco Polo, he visited India during the period of Rani Rudrama Devi. So he visited the Kakatiya kingdom. Then Kakatiyas were famous for construction of large tanks using the sluice wire device. Then Kohinoor diamond was mined during that period. You can see this is the Kohinoor diamond on your screen. So you see Kohinoor diamond was later taken to Iran by Nadir Shah. So you study this as part of modern India. So Kohinoor diamond. So Delhi was plundered by Nadir Shah in 1739, isn't it? You study this as part of modern India. Nadir Shah plundered Delhi. He was the general of Ahmad Shah Abdali. Once Abdali died, Nadir Shah became he became independent and he plundered Delhi in 1739. He defeated the king, Muhammad Shah Rangila. The Kohinoor diamond, the peacock throne, everything was carried away by Nadir Shah to Persia. He took it away to Persia or Iran. Later, this Kohinoor diamond came under the control of Shah Shuja. Shah Shuja, the ruler of Afghanistan. And this ruler of Afghanistan, he sought shelter under Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the 18th century ruler of Punjab, Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh promised asylum to Shah Shuja on the condition that he hand over the Kohinoor diamond to him. So from Nadir Shah, the Shah Shuja had that Kohinoor diamond with him. So from him, it came to Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh, on his deathbed, willed it to the Puri Jagannath temple. He said that diamond should go to the Puri Jagannath temple. That was a will written by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So after he died, it went to the Jagannath temple at Puri. Okay, and from there, this diamond was taken to England by the British. The British took it to England and presented it to the Queen. And please understand, this was an uncut diamond. It was an uncut diamond till then. And then there was not much of enthusiasm to see this diamond because it was looking ugly. It was a huge diamond, but not very great looking. Therefore, the British cut it. They gave it a shape, and this is the shape. You can see here on your screen. This is the Kohinoor diamond, which adorns the Front cross of Queen Mary's crown. This is the front cross. So it adorns the front cross of Queen Mary's crown. The wife of King George the Fifth. This is the Kohinoor diamond. So a lot of blood has been shed to possess that Kohinoor diamond. So regarding architecture of the Kakatiyas, as you can see on your screen, they built the Rudreshwara temple. Who built it? Rudra Deva. That is Pratapa Rudra the first. He was the one who built the Rudreshwara temple. It is called 1000-pillared temple. This is the temple. Then we have Ramappa temple, only temple in India named after named after the sculptor Ramappa. This is the Ramappa temple. This is also one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Then Warangal Fort. It was begun by Ganapati Deva and completed by his daughter Rani Rudrama Devi. So these three are in the UNESCO's World Heritage Sites: Rudreshwara Temple, Ramappa Temple, and the Warangal Fort. In the tentative list, they are in the tentative list of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Diamond. This is the diamond in the front. Kennedy. This is the diamond. You get it? Front cross. This is the cross you can see. This is the diamond. Kennedy, did you get it? So it looks small in this picture. It is pretty big, actually. So let us look at the questions from this section. Hello, all of you. 2003 question. You look here on your screen. Consider the following statements. The Cholas defeated the Pandya and Chera rulers and established their domination over peninsular India in the early medieval times. Answer now. All of you. Cholas defeated the Pandya and Chera rulers and established their domination over peninsular India in early medieval times. Yes or no? Yes. Very good. The Cholas sent an expedition against Shailendra Empire of Southeast Asia and conquered some of the areas. Yes. So which of the statements are correct? Both are correct. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Then, 2006 question. The initial design and construction of which massive temple took place during the reign of Suryavarman II? Suryavarman II of Cambodia. This is the Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat temple. This took place. The initial design and construction of which massive temple took place during the reign of Suryavarman II? Angkor Wat. Then, with reference to Indian history, which of the following are the essential elementary elements of the feudal system? 2015 question. So, I'm sure you're able to answer this question. Hello, I've explained this. A very strong centralized political authority and a very weak provincial or local political authority. First statement, yes or no? Is it true or false? A very strong centralized political authority and a very weak provincial or local political authority. Which of the following are essential elementary elements of the feudal system? No, not yes. Atish, Hemali, you're wrong. Gia is right. No. Feudal system, the central authority becomes weak and the provincial authority becomes strong. Therefore, the first statement is wrong. Emergence of administrative structure based on control and possession of land, that is true, because the king gave away certain territories to his vassals and they were supposed to maintain law and order in that area, collect land revenue, and also assist the king in his wars. So emergence of administrative structure based on control and possession of land, that is correct. Next, creation of lord-vassal relationship between the feudal lord and his overlord. So the vassals, that is the feudal lords, samantas, were supposed to serve the king in various ways. Apart from being subservient to the king, they were supposed to send tributes to him regularly, participate in his wars, helping the king in his wars. They would also be expected to give their daughters in marriage to the king or the king's children, etc. So all these things were there. So answer is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 is the answer. Then with reference to the economic history of India, the term Araghatta refers to what? 2016 question. It is the water wheel used in the irrigation for land. I have put a picture of the Araghatta. It is called the Persian wheel. Persian wheel. This is the Persian wheel, also called Araghatta, which was used to draw water from a deeper level for irrigation. So it's able to draw water from a deeper level for irrigation. This is the Araghatta. Then 2021 question. with reference to the history of ancient India, which of the following statements are correct? Mitakshara was a civil law for upper caste and Dayabaga was a civil law for lower caste. Not this. In the Mitakshara system, the sons can claim the right to the property during the lifetime of the father, whereas in the Dayabaga system, it is only after the death of the father that the sons can claim the right to the property. So this is correct. Mitakshara system deals with the matters related to the property held by the male members only of a family, whereas the Dayabaga system deals with the matters related to the property held by both male and female members of a family. This is not correct. So females do not have any property right. So that statement automatically cancels out. So the answer is 2. 2 is the answer. We have done this. Yeah? Hello, all of you? Then, which of the following dynasties claim the status of Agnikula Kshatriyas? Without looking at the answer, who are the Agnikula Rajputs? Who are the Agnikula Rajputs? In one sentence, you write. I've told you the story. Agnikula Rajputs. What happened to today's class? Is it slow? Is the reception slow? The network slow? Paramaras, Pratyaharas, Solankis, Chauhans. Very good, Jia. Jia has answered it correctly. Paramaras, Pratyaharas, Solankis, Chauhans. They are fire origin, Agnikula Rajputs. So you're right, Jia. So Chauhans, Paramaras, Pratyaharas, Solankis. These first 4 are the Agnikula Rajputs. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the answer. Then which of the following pages is incorrect? They're asking which is incorrect. Rajashekara Karpura Manjari, Bhoja Samarangana Sutradhara, Dhananjaya Dasharupaka, Hemachandra Haravilasa. No. Hemachandra wrote many books, isn't it? Hemachandra or Siddha Hemachandra, Neminath Charitra, Neminatha Charitra, Parishishta Parvan, Parisishta Parvan. Then he also wrote Trishashti Lakshana Mahapurana, Trishashti Lakshana Mahapurana, etc. These are the various books written by Hemachandra, not Haravilasa. Then match the following. Arivariam Tank Committee, Mahasabha. Mahasabha is the Sabha or Mahasabha. Brahmadeya Village Exclusive Assembly. Ur is non-Brahmadeya Village Assembly. Kudimai is Labor Services. So first mark what you know, and then you will be able to later also understand what may not be easily able to be remembered. Right. Chalukyan capital was shifted from Manyaketa to Kalyana. By whom? Someshwara the first. So initial capital was Malkhed. Malkhed was the initial capital. Then they made it Yatagiri. Yatagiri became the capital. And later, Kalyana became the capital. So Kalyana was made a permanent capital by Someshwara the first, who jumped into the Tungabhadra and committed suicide. No, Parama Yoga. He performed Parama Yoga by jumping into the Tungabhadra river. Then consider the following shape pairs. 2022 question. Look at this question. King and dynasty. I have made the chart here. King and dynasty. Nannuka, Chandela, Jayashakti, Paramara, Nagabhatta II, Gurjara Pratihara, Bhoja, Rashtrakuta. How many pairs given above correctly matched? So how many pairs are correctly matched? They're asking. So here I have given the answer here. You can see here Chandelas of Bundelkhand. Nannuka was the founder. So Nannuka automatically chose Chandela. This is correct. Then Nannuka's grandson was Jayashakti. Okay. Jayashakti and Vijayashakti. So Jayashakti was not a Paramara king. He was actually a Chandela king. Therefore, this is wrong. Nagabhatta II, Gurjar Pratihara. No, Nagabhatta II's grandson was Mihira Bhoja. So he was a Gurjara Pratihara king, greatest of the Gurjara Pratiharas. So therefore, this is correct. Bhoja was not a Rashtrakuta king. He belonged to the Paramaras. The Paramaras of Malwa. Bhoja Raja Bhoja, who built the Bhojashala or Saraswati Kanta Varna Vidyalaya. So this is wrong. So here the explanation is here on this page. You go through it, you'll understand. Right? So the answer is only 2 pairs are correct. Only 2 pairs are correct. The Prime Minister recently inaugurated the new circuit house near Somnath Temple at Veraval. 2022 question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Somnath Temple? Somnath Temple is one of the Jyotirlinga shrines. Yes or no? Yes, very good, Jia. Shilpa also says yes. Okay, Dinesh, yes. A description of Somnath Temple was given by Al-Biruni. Yes. Prana Pratishtha of Somnath Temple, that is installation of the present day temple, was done by President S. Radhakrishnan. This is wrong. It was done by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, then President. I mentioned here, then President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, did the Prana Pratishtha at the existing temple on May 11, 1951. It was not Radhakrishnan, it was Rajendra Prasad. Therefore, the third statement is wrong. So, select the correct answer. 1 and 2 are correct. And I have given a list of 12 Jyotirlingas. So 12 Jyotirlingas are here on your screen, as you can see. 4 are in Madhya Pradesh. See this? No, maximum are in Maharashtra. Maharashtra has the maximum number of Jyotirlingas. You can see here. Bhima Shankar, Trayambakeshwar, Aund Nagnath, Grushneshwar. They are all in Maharashtra. In Madhya Pradesh, there are 2. You can see Madhya Pradesh. Mahakaleshwar, Omkareshwar. Somnath in Gujarat. Vishwanath in UP, Kashi Vishwanath. Kedarnath, Uttarakhand. Vaidyanath, Jharkhand. Mallikarjuna, Srishaila Mallikarjuna, Andhra Pradesh. Rameshwara, Tamil Nadu. These are the 12 Jyotirlingas. Okay, so remember them. 12 important sun temples I've given you in the art and architecture class. We'll talk about it. 12 important sun temples. Then these are the 12 Jyotirlingas. Okay, then some more questions. With reference to the Khajuraho group of monuments, consider the following statements. The temples at Khajuraho were built during the Chandela dynasty. Yes or no? Temples at Khajuraho were built during the Chandela dynasty. Yes. The temples at Khajuraho are associated with Hinduism and Jainism. The temples at Khajuraho are associated with Hinduism and Jainism. Yes or no? Yes. We have seen this. Hinduism, both Shaivism and Vaishnavism and Jainism, not Buddhism. The temples are built in Dravidian style architecture. No, it is in the Nagara style. It's in the Nagara style. So, in fact, there are regional variations to Nagara style in Orissa, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat. Therefore, only 2 are correct. Only 2 statements are correct. So, I have given the explanation here. Then, another question. She is said to have been born in 1524 in Mahoba's Chandela dynasty. She was later married to Dalpat Shah, the son of the Gond king Sangram Shah of the kingdom of Garkatanga. This kingdom included the Narmada Valley and parts of southern MP, Madhya Pradesh. She fought a Mughal Emperor Akbar and his commander Asaf Khan and gave the ultimate sacrifice. The above mentioned lines refer to Rani Durgavati. So answer is Rani Durgavati. She fought along with her son Bir Narayan. She refused to submit to Akbar. So Bir Narayan and Rani Durgavati died fighting on the battlefield, and Garkatanga was conquered by Akbar. So the answer is Rani Durgavati. So the answer is here. Go through it. Our explanation is here on the screen. With reference to the Uttarameru inscription, consider the following statements. It provides details of local self-governance. Yes or no? It provides details of local self-governance. Yes. Very good, Jia. Kola. The inscription gives in details on how members were selected, the required qualifications, their roles and responsibilities. Yes. The famous inscription from Parantaka, the first reign, is found on the walls of the Vaikunta Perumal temple. This is also correct. So all the 3 statements are correct. It is found on the Vaikunta Perumal temple in Kanchipuram. Okay, so that is also true. So all the 3 statements are correct. So this is the end of this chapter. Okay, so we'll come to Delhi Sultanate. Just take a 5 minutes break. We'll take a 5 minutes break and come. Is it fine? Just 5 minutes break and we'll start with Delhi Sultanate. 5 minutes break. Good afternoon. Hello, can we continue? Yeah, thank you, Kennedy. Audible and visible. Can we start the new chapter, Delhi Sultanate? Okay. So let us start this chapter, Delhi Sultanate, 1206 to 1526. So as we have seen in 1206, you remember Ghori. Ghori was assassinated in 1206. He was killed in 1206, and the four of his commanders began to fight for the throne. Began to fight for dividing the empire of Ghori amongst themselves. So he had four commanders: Tajuddin Yildiz, who became the ruler at Ghazni. Then Nasiruddin Nasiruddin Kubacha. He became the ruler at Multan, which is now in Pakistan. Then Bakhtiar Khalji ruled Bengal. And number four, we have Qutbuddin Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak proclaimed himself independent at Delhi and thus established the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate. Okay, thank you, Kennedy. So here, four commanders of Ghori parceled out the empire of Ghori once Ghori was killed or assassinated, right? So the Delhi Sultanate, why is it called Delhi Sultanate? Because the rulers of this dynasty were called sultans. They were called sultans. Sultan means king. So Sultan means king. So they had the title of Sultan or king, and they ruled from Delhi. Therefore called Delhi Sultanate, right? Now the Delhi Sultanate had five dynasties. You can see on your screen. So it lasted for 320 years, the Delhi Sultanate, and ultimately it was. We have five dynasties which ruled the Delhi Sultanate. What are the five dynasties? The Slave dynasty or Ilbari Turks. I'll come to this. Ilbari Turks. This is the first dynasty. Then we have the Khaljis or Khiljis. Number three, we have the Tughlaqs. Number four, the Sayyids. And number five, the Lodis. So these five dynasties totally ruled for 320 years. They ruled for 320 years. Ultimately, we have Babur. Babur, who was the king at Kabul in Afghanistan, he attacked India. He was invited by few people. So he came and he attacked and killed Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat. First battle of Panipat, April 21st, 1526. First battle of Panipat. So in the first battle of Panipat, Babur killed Ibrahim Lodi and thus established the Mughal Empire. So the Delhi Sultanate was the first Muslim empire to rule almost the whole of India. The Delhi Sultanate under Alauddin Khalji, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. You have the Delhi Sultanate reaching its zenith under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So they brought most parts of North India, most parts of India under their control. It was the first Muslim empire in that sense. So there were 5 dynasties which ruled the Delhi Sultanate. On your screen, Ilbari Turks. Okay, Ilbari Turks. They ruled from 1206 to 1290. They were Turks of by race. They were Turks. Qutbuddin Aibak was the founder. Then Khaljis ruled for only 30 years, the shortest reign among the Delhi's, among the 5 dynasties. They ruled for the shortest period of time, 30 years. But the greatest of the Delhi Sultans belongs to the Khalji dynasty, that is Alauddin Khalji. So they were also Turkish by race and Turks by race. And Jalaluddin Khalji was the founder. Tughlaqs, they were the ones who ruled for the longest period of time, almost 94 years. Longest reign. Founder was Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq. Then Sayyids, the founder was Khizr Khan. They were also Turks. The Lodhis were Afghans. So the first four were of Turkish race. They belonged to the Turkish race. They were Turks, whereas the Lodhis were Afghans. Afghans by race. Right? So the first four were of Turkish race and the Lodhis were Afghans by race. Now, let us talk about Delhi, the background of Delhi. We have seen how the name Delhi has come about. Then the city of Dhillikapuram was built by Anangpal Tomar on the ancient site of Indraprastha, isn't it? So earlier it was the capital of the Kuru kingdom, Indraprastha, and on this site we have Anangpal Tomara of the Tomara dynasty constructing Dhillikapuram, which later came to be called Delhi. And the Delhi Sultans and the Mughal emperors built 7 cities of Delhi, 5 by the Delhi Sultans and 2 by the Mughals. So remember these cities founded by the various rulers. First 5 were built by the Delhi Sultans. First 5. You can see on your screen. These were built by the Delhi Sultans. Right? Lal Kot, Kila Rai Pithora or Meheroli by the slave rulers, Qutbuddin Aibak. Siri was founded by Alauddin Khalji. Okay, so Lal Kot, Kila Rai Pithora or Meheroli, built by Qutbuddin Aibak. Siri by Alauddin Khalji, belonged to the Khalji dynasty. Tughlaqabad by Ghiyazuddin Tughlaq of the Tughlaq dynasty. Jahanpana by Muhammad bin Tughlaq of the Tughlaq dynasty, and Firozabad by Firoz Shah Tughlaq of the Tughlaq dynasty. So first 5 were built by the Delhi Sultans and the 2 were added by the Mughals. Deen Pana, also called Shergarh, built by Humayun, and Shah Jahanabad, built by Shah Jahan. So these are the 7 cities of Delhi. No, Turks by race. Yes, they were not from Turkey. They were Turks by race. Yeah, you have the Ottoman Turkish, Kennedy. You have the Ottoman Turkish dynasty. Ottoman Turks. 9th century, you have Ottoman or Osman, who established this small kingdom, and it grew into an empire. It came to be called as the Ottoman Turkish Empire. So these were the Turks. They were great warriors, and some of them also served in Central Asia among the Ghaznamids and the Ghurids, and then that's how they came to India. So they were of Turkish race. They were from Turkey, originally from Turkey, that area, right? Kennedy. Okay. So let us talk about the slave dynasty. Now look here. On your screen, the first dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate has been called as the slave dynasty. But it is wrong to use the word slave. Understand this. The first dynasty has been called as the slave dynasty. They ruled from 1206 to 1290. Now, it is wrong to use the word slave dynasty. Why is it wrong to use the word slave dynasty? Now, understand this. Out of the 9 rulers of this dynasty, totally there were 11 rulers. Okay, you can see on your screen. These are the 11 rulers. But then you cannot consider 2 as seriously rulers, because one was a boy of 17 years. This Kaikubad, he was just 17 years old. And he had a 3-year-old son, Kayumars, who was made the Sultan. So it was a joke. these two people cannot be considered as strictly sultans. Right? Kaikubad 17 years old, Kayumar's 3-year-old. So remember, imagine 3-year-old boy, sitting on the throne, calling himself sultan. Right? He doesn't know how to change his nappy, and he is called sultan. So you cannot consider these two people as sultans. Now, totally, you can consider 9 rulers as sultans. Out of these 9, only 3 had been slaves. Understand this, please. Only 3 had been slaves. For example, uh, Qutbuddin Aibak, Qutbuddin, Qutbuddin Aibak, okay, was the slave of Ghori. He was the slave of Ghori, Qutbuddin Aibak. Right? Then we have Iltutmish. Iltutmish or Altamish. This Iltutmish was the slave of Aibak. And then slave and son-in-law of Aibak, Iltutmish. And then we have Balban, who was the slave of Iltutmish. So Aibak was the slave of Gori, Iltutmish was the slave of Aibak, and Balban had been the slave of Iltutmish. Only 3 had been slaves. Okay, only 3 had been slaves. But please understand, even before they became sultans, they had been manumitted by their masters. Understand this. They had been manumitted. What is the meaning of manumitted? They had been given back their freedom. Manumitted means given back their freedom. They had been given back their freedom by their masters. So Aibak was a slave of Gori, but even before Aibak um, became, he was made the representative of the Indian possessions of Gori. Gori had given back his freedom. He had released him from the tag of slavery. Similarly, Iltutmish was the slave of Aibak, but Aibak had given back his freedom even before Iltutmish became the Sultan. In fact, Iltutmish had become the son-in-law also of Aibak. So he had been manumitted, given back their freedom, given back his freedom. And similarly, Balban was a slave of Iltutmish earlier, but he had been given back his freedom much earlier by Iltutmish, even before he became Sultan. So only 3 had been slaves, and that too they had been manumitted before they became sultans. Therefore, it is wrong to use the word slave. Understand? Did you understand? Can you lift your hands? It is wrong to use the word slave because 3 had been slaves earlier, but even before they became sultans, they had been given back their freedom or manumitted by their masters. Therefore, it is wrong to use the word slave. Can you please raise your hands? Okay, thank you. So that is clear. So here, what is the right way to um, refer to these sultans of the first dynasty? We can call them as Mamluk sultans. We can call them as Mamluk sultans or Ilbari Turks. You can call them as Mamluk sultans or Ilbari Turks. So these are the two important ways you can call them. You can address them. Now, what is the meaning of why called Mamluk sultans? What is the meaning of Mamluk? Now, before I proceed, you should understand what are the qualifications for somebody to be called a sultan. What are the qualifications necessary for somebody to be called a sultan, or for somebody to become a sultan? Number one, he should be a free-born Muslim. He should be a free-born Muslim. Number two, he should He should have no physical deformities. He should have no physical deformities. Number 3, he should have knowledge of the Shariat. And of course, he should be a male adult. He should be a male adult. Okay, he should be a male adult with no physical deformities. He should have knowledge of the Shariat, and he should be a free-born Muslim. Now, these are the qualifications. What is the meaning of free-born Muslim? So here, he should not be anybody's slave. His parents should not have been anybody's slaves. His parents should not be slaves. That's the meaning of free-born Muslim. So he should be a free-born Muslim with no physical deformities. That is, his eyes, nose, etc. Hands, legs should be in the right place and in functional order. Knowledge of the Shariat, Islamic law, Shariat. So he should have knowledge of the Islamic law. And he should be a made adult. But then, these are the qualifications, right, for somebody to be called a sultan. Now, I'll come to that. Now, what we notice is we have exceptions to this rule. We have exceptions to this rule. For example, not that all these qualifications were strictly followed. That's why I said exceptions to this rule. First of all, we have Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He became a sultan when he was a minor. He was not an adult. When he was still a minor, he became sultan. Number 2, so he was about 12, 13 years when he became sultan, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then Razia was a female, as you know. She was a female. She was not a male adult. She was a female. Still, she became sultana. She sat on the throne of Delhi. Right? She became the ruler. Number 3, we have Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji said he has no knowledge of the Shariat and he will do what is necessary for the welfare of his subjects, what he feels is right. So he feigned ignorance of the Shariat. So he no knowledge of Shariat. And he said he will do what he feels is good for his public, for his people. Right? So this is Alauddin Khalji. And number 4, Nasiruddin Khusro. Nasiruddin Khusro. He was a Hindu convert. He was a Hindu convert to Islam. So he was a Hindu, basically. His background was he was a Hindu. He was not a Muslim. But still he became Sultan, Nasiruddin Khusro. Right? So we have exceptions to this rule. Though there was on paper qualifications required for somebody to become Sultan, these qualifications were not strictly followed. So what was the one which decided who has to become the Sultan? The sword. The sword was the one which decided as to who should become the Sultan. Somebody who has the power of the army behind him, he has the army behind him, he is himself capable, he's shrewd, he's got his own capacity, he's shrewd, he's intelligent, he's got nobles backing him, right? He has the strength of the army backing him. Then he has the better chance of becoming sultan. You see, if a sultan has 10 wives, imagine this: if a sultan has 10 wives, and from those 10 wives he has 100 children, all the 100 sons have equal right to the throne. So the sword decided the issue. Example, I told you, if the sultan has 10 wives and from those 10 wives he has 100 children, all of them have equal right to the throne. The sword decided the issue. Okay, now see, Kennedy, they would know who is a man and who is an adult. For example, Kennedy is asking, was there age limit to be declared a minor in that period? So generally they would know. If, for example, Akbar, the Mughal Emperor Akbar, banned circumcision, prohibited circumcision of boys below 12 years. So those boys who were below 12 years were prohibited from being circumcised. Okay, what is called katna in among the Muslims. So obviously, because they were still small, boy is still small, he will not be able to withstand the pain. That's why that law was there. So it was, they would know when a person would be an adult. Generally 15 years was considered to be the age when a person became adult, right? Around that age, 15 years. Right? Even Buddha had made that rule. If you remember, I mean, we are yet to come to art and culture. We have certain qualifications necessary to join the Buddhist Sangha. So Buddha did not allow minors into the Sangha. He should be minimum 15 years and above. Okay, so only a person who is 15 years and above can become a member of the Sangha. Otherwise, he cannot become, or he or she cannot join the Sangha. So those were there. Kennedy will not talk about today's conflict around that age, 15 years. You take it as 15 years. We'll come back here. Now, we can call these, the first dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate as Memuluk Sultans. What is the meaning of Memuluk? A slave born of free parents. Understand this. A slave born of free parents. A slave born of free parents. You can call them as Memuluk Sultans. Right? For example, understand this. Qutbuddin Aibak became the slave of Ghori. But Qutbuddin Aibak's parents were free birds. They were not anybody's slave. So Qutbuddin Aibak became the slave of Ghori, but Qutbuddin Aibak's parents were free people. They were not anybody's slave. Similarly, Iltutmish became the slave of Aibak, but then Iltutmish's parents were free people. Balban became the slave of Iltutmish, but Balban's parents were free people. So therefore, Memluk means a slave born of free parents. So you can call them as Memluk Sultans, or you can use the word Ilbari Turks. Why Ilbari Turks? Because out of the 9 rulers of this dynasty, all belong to the Ilbari tribe of the Turks, except Qutbuddin Aibak, who belong to the Aibak tribe. You can see here on your screen. So Qutbuddin Aibak belonged to the Aibak tribe. Okay, he belonged to the Aibak tribe, Qutbuddin Aibak. All the others belong to the Ilbari tribe of the Turks. They all belong to the Ilbari tribe of the Turks, except Aibak, who belong to the Aibak tribe. And therefore, we can call them as Ilbari Turks or Memluk Sultans. Did you get me? All of you are clear with me? Clear? I think many people are busy preparing for Holi, traveling probably to their native place. So repeat Ilbari. I said Ilbari, all the rulers, Kennedy, you can see here on your screen, all the rulers except Aibak belong to the Ilbari tribe of the Turks. The first, all the rulers of the slave dynasty, they belong to the Ilbari tribe. Only Aibak belong to the Aibak tribe of the Turks. And therefore, we can call them as Ilbari Turks. Kennedy, did you get me? Kennedy, yeah, okay. Okay. So these are the rulers. You can see here on your screen, Qutbuddin Aibak, Aram Shah, Iltutmish, Ruknuddin Firoz, Razia, Moizuddin Bahram Shah, Alauddin Masood Shah, Nasiruddin Mahmud, Balban, then Kaikuba, then Kayumars. Totally 11 rulers, but then 9 can be considered as rulers. Out of these 9 or 11, only 4 are important. As you can see on your screen, who are the 4 who are important? Qutbuddin Aibak, then Iltutmish, Razia, and Balban. These are the 4 important rulers. So what I'll do is I'll explain to you, I'll give you a story of the slave dynasty, then they'll come back and do the PPTs. Is it fine? Is it fine that way? I'll explain to you, and then we'll come back and do the PPTs and discuss the PPTs. Okay. So here we have Qutbuddin Aibak. Now, as you all know, Qutbuddin Aibak, he belonged to the Aibak tribe of the Turks. Ghori had sent him along with Bakhtiyar Khalji. So I'll use a paper here. So Qutbuddin Aibak and Bakhtiyar Khalji had been sent to India to conquer a few parts of India by Ghori. And when Ghori was, and Aibak conquered a few areas, Delhi, Agra, Kalinjar, Mohoba. Bakhtiyar Khalji conquered eastern India. The Sena dynasty came to an end. So in 1206, when Ghori was assassinated, so Aibak had been appointed as the governor of Indian possessions. Ghori had appointed Aibak as the governor of all the Indian possessions of his, right? So whatever was there in India. So once Ghori was assassinated in 1206, Aibak, you know, declared himself independent. He declared himself independent and founded the Delhi Sultanate. You all know this. Okay. He ruled from Lahore. Aibak ruled from Lahore. Lahore in Pakistan was his capital. Qutbuddin Aibak. So Lahore was his capital. Lahore in Pakistan was his capital. And he ruled only for 4 years. Understand this? He ruled only for 4 years, 1206 to 1210. Now, he did not take the title of Sultan. He never called himself as Sultan or king. So he did not call himself Sultan. In fact, he called himself as Sipa Salar. So Sipa Salar. These were some of the titles conferred upon him by Ghori as such. Now, Aibak was known to be a very generous person. He used to give donations to the poor and the needy. And therefore, he got the sobriquet, that is title, Lakh Baksh. So people used to call him Lakh Baksh. Lakh Baksh means giver of lakhs. Giver of lakhs. And he also patronized a number of scholars, therefore called Akshar Baksh. Akshar Baksh. Because he patronized a number of scholars. Patronized scholars. Therefore called Akshar Baksh. Lakh Baksh, Akshar Baksh. The first official history of the Delhi Sultanate was written during his period, called Taj ul Masir. Taj ul Masir. Written by Hasan Nizami. Written by Hasan Nizami. So what is the meaning of official history? The government is authorizing the writing of history. Government authorized history. Government authorized history is called official history. So he ordered the writing of the history of his period. That's called Taj ul Masir. It came out as Taj ul Masir, written by Hasan Nizami. Now, there was a Sufi saint in Delhi. So a Chisti belonged to the Chisti order. So Sufis are, we'll talk about Sufism, Sufi Bhakti movement. These are Islamic mystic saints. Islamic mysticism or Islamic mystic saints. You can call them as Bhakti saints among Islam. Bhakti saints among Islam in simple words. So we have a number of orders in the Sufi movement. Chistiya, Chisti saints, Qadri, Naqshbandi, Firdausi, Shattari, etc. So there was a Sufi saint of the Chisti order in Delhi during those days, during the time of Aibak. His name was Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. And Aibak was a great devotee of this saint, Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. He held him in high esteem. And therefore, in memory of this saint, in the memory of Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, in honor of him, he had met the saint. So he was a contemporary of Aibak, the saint. So in honor of this saint, he began the construction of the Qutub Minar. So Qutub Minar, he began the construction of the Qutub Minar at Delhi. So it was named after him, Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. So the Qutub Minar, he was the one who laid the foundation. This is the foundation of the Qutub Minar, which was laid by laid by Aibak. But then Aibak could not see its completion because he was one day playing polo, that is Chaugan. Chaugan means polo. You sit on a horse and play hockey. That's called polo, as you know. So he had a fall from the horse. He had a fall from the horse, and that fall proved fatal, and he died. So he ruled only for 4 years. So he died while playing Chaugan from a fall from a horse. So therefore, he could not complete this particular tower. Later, so this is about Aibak. No, he ruled for only 4 years, ruled from Lahore, and he never called himself as Sultan. Um, so Sipa Salar was one of the titles bestowed upon him by Gori. Called Lak Baksh because of his generosity, Akshar Baksh because he patronized scholars. Taj al Masir was written by Hassan Nizami under his orders. This was the first official history of the Delhi Sultanate. Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki was a Sufi saint in whose honor he began the construction of the Qutub Minar, which was completed by Iltutmish. So his slave and son-in-law Iltutmish completed the Qutub Minar. And the Qutub Minar is the tallest stone tower in India. Tallest stone tower in India is this. Tallest stone tower in India. It is 73 meters in height. In India, 73 meters in height. Now, once Aibak died, so Aibak suddenly died, he had a son called Aram Shah. He had a son called Aram Shah. So this Aram Shah was made the Sultan. Aram Shah. He became the Sultan. But within a few months, within 8 months, he proved how capable he was. In other words, he was inexperienced, incapable. He proved himself to be inexperienced, incapable. And therefore, the military commanders, the Sardars, the Maliks or Sardars, the military commanders, they pulled him down from the throne. They pulled him down from the throne and they elected Aibak's slave and son-in-law, Iltutmish, as the next ruler. So Aibak's son-in-law and slave, Iltutmish, was elected king by the military commanders. So Iltutmish became the next sultan. Aram Shah ruled only for a few months, and he proved himself to be incapable and inexperienced. Therefore, Iltutmish was elected sultan. Right? Now, we come to Iltutmish. Altamish or Iltutmish. So he was the slave. He was the slave and son-in-law of Aibak. And even before he became Sultan, he had been manumitted by Aibak. He had been given back his freedom. Right? Now, Iltutmish was the governor of Budaun in UP. He had been appointed as the governor of Budaun in UP. And Iltutmish is considered to be the real founder of the Delhi Sultanate. He is considered to be the real founder of the Delhi Sultanate. Now, he shifted the capital to Delhi. So Delhi became the capital during his period. Right? And then he gave a class of nobility. He organized a class of nobility called Chalisa or Chihal Gani. Chihal Gani. That is a group of 40 ministers. Not exactly 40 though. There were about 36 ministers. So there were a group of 40 ministers who became the eyes and ears of the Sultan. They acted as his advisors. So he had picked and chosen them. One by one, he had picked and chosen them to advise him. So these are the Chalisa members, 40 ministers, about 36 in number. They became the eyes and ears of the Sultan. And whatever important things happened in the kingdom, good or bad, they will come and inform the Sultan and keep him alert and warn him if necessary. This Chalisa later, after the death of Iltutmish, became a de facto authority. Became a de facto authority after the death of Iltutmish. Right. Now, then Iltutmish is also the person who introduced the silver tanka and the copper jital. Silver tanka and the copper jital. Copper jital. For example, one tanka, one silver tanka, it was equal to 48 jitals. Like 1 rupee is equal to 100 paisa, like that. One tanka is equal to 48 jitals. Iltutmish is the person who divided the kingdom into various iktas. Understand this? He divided the kingdom into various iktas. So you can see here, if this is the kingdom and this is the capital, this is Delhi. He divided the kingdom into various iktas, like this, provinces. So here you have A, B, C, D, E, etc. Now, so here you have, so this is an ikta. This is an ikta. Okay. So instead of giving salaries to his officers in gold and silver coins, he gave them lands called iktas, land grants called iktas. And the holder of an ikta came to be called iktadar. The holder of an ikta, the person who was having the control of the ikta, came to be called iktadar or mukti or wali. What was the duty of the iktadar? The duty of the iktadar, for example, I have taken the question of B here. Let's say this is the B. This is the person who is the ikta of this place, iktadar of this place. His duty was to collect land revenue. Understand this? The iktadar's duty was to collect land revenue, LR, maintain law and order in that area. Therefore, he will keep an army. He was allowed to keep an army. And he will also act as a judge in that area. So, okay, he will collect the land revenue from the farmers, maintain law and order in that area with his army, and act as a judge in that area. Now, after defraying the expenses for his own, after minusing, whatever he has collected out of the gross land revenue collected, he will take away some money for the maintenance of that area. He has to pay his officers and soldiers salaries. He will require certain money for that. So he will take away that amount, a certain amount agreed upon earlier between the Iqtadar and the Sultan, and then he will also deduct his remuneration, whatever, because he requires a salary, isn't it? So from that he will also deduct his remuneration, and the rest is sent to the capital, okay, by the Iqtadar. So he will defray the expenses of that area, including maintenance of troops and salary, and also deduct his salary. Okay, and the rest is sent to the Sultan. So the excess amount which was sent to the Sultan, to the treasury at the center, was called fawazil. Excess income from the Ikta. Excess income from the Ikta sent to the capital, to the Sultan, was called fawazil. Deduct is, I have just put a dash here, deduct. So he will deduct his salary and defray the expenses of that army, defray the expenses of that area, whatever he has to. So that is called fawazil. Did you get me? Fawazil. Now, this system, the Ikta system, differed from the feudal system. It was not as the same as the feudal system. Now, why it's not as same as feudal system? Not as same as feudal system. Why? Because number one, The Iqtadar had no personal lands. He had no personal lands. Right? He had no personal lands. Number two, he was transferable. So he was transferable from one Iqta to another Iqta. So he was transferable. And number three, his position and status depended upon the Sultan. His position and status dependent upon the Sultan. It was not hereditary. It was dependent upon the Sultan. And it was not hereditary. Not hereditary. So in a feudal system, the feudal lord had his own personal lands. Okay, he was not transferable, and then it was hereditary. The feudal lord's son will become the next feudal lord. So here, Iqtadar was transferable, right? And he had no personal lands, and then his position, everything depended on the sultan. So sultan can make or unmake an Iqtadar. Did you understand, all of you? Can you raise your hands? Defray. Kennedy, I said defray. Above the deduct is defray. He'll deduct. So out of the gross land revenue collected, he will deduct some money. For what? For the expenses of that area. He has to pay salaries to the officers, soldiers. He has to run the administration of that area. He'll require money for that. So he'll defray or he'll deduct the expenses from that area and also deduct his salary. Are you there with me, Mr. Kennedy? Kennedy, okay, got it. Right. So this is ICTA system. This ICTA system was introduced by Iltutmish, right? The system was introduced by Iltutmish. This is one thing. Then I'll use another page. Now, Iltutmish is the person during whose period we have the first attack of the Mongols. Understand this. First attack of Mongols. First attack of Mongols happened during his period. You see, so this is India, let us say. This is Jammu Kashmir. This is Jammu Kashmir. Okay. We have Central Asia. This is Central Asia. And in Central Asia, there was one kingdom. In Central Asia, there was a kingdom called Khwarezmi Kingdom. Khwarezmi. And there was a prince of this Khwarezmi Kingdom. His name was Jalaluddin Mangbarani. Jalaluddin Mangbarni or Mangbarani. Now we have the Mongol warrior Genghis Khan. So, if this is China, imagine this is China. North of China, you have Mongolia. This is Mongolia. This is Mongolia here, north of China. You look at the map, you'll know Mongolia. So these Mongols were from Mongolia, and there was one. They were noted for their loot and plunder. Known for their loot and plunder. So there was one Mongol warrior called Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. This Genghis Khan attacked the Khwarezmi kingdom. He attacked the kingdom, defeated Jalaluddin Mangbarani, and he was chasing him to kill him. So Jalaluddin Mangbarani came running to the borders of India. He came to the borders of India and asked, he sent an ambassador to the court of Iltutmish asking for asylum. Please give me asylum. Please give me protection from this Mongol warrior, Genghis Khan. He asked for asylum. Politely, diplomatically, Iltutmish refused to give asylum to Jalaluddin Mangbarani. And Jalaluddin Mangbarani, when he was refused asylum, he ran away towards Persia. He ran away towards Iran, Persia. Okay. Now, Genghis Khan, chasing Jalaluddin Mangbarani, came to the borders of India, came up to the Punjab. He came up to the Punjab, Pakistani part of Punjab. And the Mongols did a lot of loot and plunder in that area. They conquered a few areas. But the intense heat of North India, it was summer season, intense heat of North India was intolerable for them. So they had to turn back. They turned back and went away. So through his diplomacy, therefore, Iltutmish saved the infant Delhi Sultanate from a possible Mongol attack. In case he had given shelter or asylum to Jalaluddin Mangbarani, what would have happened? Genghis Khan would have attacked Delhi. And just now you have the Delhi Sultanate which has taken birth. It would have been difficult to defeat these Mongols. They would have engaged in loot and plunder. He would have exposed his people, to his population, his subjects to a possible Mongol plunder and attack. So he saved the infant Delhi Sultanate from a possible Mongol attack, Iltutmish, through his diplomacy. Only after he came to know about the death of Genghis Khan, 1227 or so, Genghis Khan dies. So after that, he began to conquer a few areas. And he reconquered a few areas and conquered Mandor, Jalore, Bengal, Bihar, etc. He conquered those areas. Now, Iltutmish is the person who applied for a Mansur. Understand these things about Iltutmish. He applied for a Mansur from the Abbasid Caliph. Applied for a Mansur from the Khalifa of Baghdad, from the Caliph, of Baghdad, Iraq. Now, what is a Mansur? Understand this. What is a Mansur? In English, it is called letter of investiture. Letter of investiture. Letter of investiture. So it is called a letter of investiture. Understand this. Now, what is the meaning of Mansur here? So here we have Iltutmish sending gifts to the Khalifa. He will send gifts to the Khalifa at Baghdad. The Caliph or the Khalifa was considered to be the representative of Prophet Muhammad on this earth. Like, for example, among the Christians, Roman Catholics, they considered the Pope as the representative of Lord Jesus Christ on this earth. Right? Or Roman Catholics all over the world consider the Pope as the representative of Lord Jesus Christ on this earth. Similarly, Muslims all over the world used to consider the Khalifa or the Caliph as the representative of Prophet Muhammad on this earth. So what did Iltutmish do? There was one Khalifa at Baghdad and there was another Khalifa at Cairo in Egypt. So in Egypt, Africa, in Cairo, there was one Khalifa, and here in Baghdad, in Iraq, there was another Khalifa. So he decided to send gifts to the Khalifa. A lot of things, jewels, diamond, gold, beautiful clothes, some women, beautiful women, etc. They were all sent as a gift to the Khalifa. So the Khalifa will receive these gifts and he'll be very happy. This has been sent by Iltutmish. And what is Iltutmish asking in return from the Khalifa? Please recognize me as a lawful ruler of Delhi. So please give me a letter which states that you have recognized, the Honorable Khalifa has recognized Iltutmish as the lawful ruler of Delhi. So what will the Khalifa lose? He has got all these gifts. He has won over the Khalifa by impressing him and pleasing him with these gifts. So the Khalifa will write a letter stating that so and so Khalifa has recognized Iltutmish as the lawful ruler of Delhi, as a legal ruler of Delhi, and he'll put his signature and stamp on that letter, and that letter is given back to Iltutmish, is sent to Iltutmish, and Iltutmish will keep the letter with him. Now, what was the purpose of that? This is to gain legitimacy over his rule. If somebody questions Iltutmish's right to be calling himself as a sultan, so you remember he was once upon a time a slave of Aybak, Iltutmish. So he married Aybak's daughter and he became sultan later. So somebody, if they rebel against him, rebel against Iltutmish, and they question his right to call himself as a sultan, then he'll show that letter. And he'll say, see, the Khalifa himself has recognized me as the lawful ruler of Delhi. Who the hell are you to ask? You sit down. So this way, he shut many mouths, and prevented rebellions. In case, so because here, if that person question comes to know that Khalifa has recognized him, then who is the Khalifa? He is the representative of Prophet Muhammad. So nobody will rebel against Iltutmish. So this is the no the strategy used by Iltutmish. He applied for a Mansur, and only three sultans in the Delhi Sultanate applied and got a Mansur. One was, of course, Iltutmish. Iltutmish was the first king to apply and get a Mansur. The second was Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and the third was Firuz Shah Tughlaq. Firuz Tughlaq. And Firuz Tughlaq received the Mansur from two separate caliphs. So he twice applied for a caliph. He twice applied for a Mansur and twice received the Mansur from two separate caliphs. So twice applied for Mansur and got it from two separate caliphs. So these are the three Delhi Sultans who got a Mansur. Okay, now, are there all of you? Same as present day bribe. Yeah, you can call it, Kennedy, you can call it. But this is more of a gift. This is more of a gift, nazar, to please the Khalifa and get him over to your side so that he recognizes your rule, right? Okay, we'll come back here. Now, in 1231, understand this, in 1231 or so, we have Iltutmish who was going on his Gwalior campaign. He was Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. He wanted to conquer Gwalior, right? So as he was about to leave Delhi, he called his daughter. He had many sons. Iltutmish had many sons. He considered all his sons as useless fellows. So he had a favorite daughter. He had a daughter. Her name was Razia. So he called his daughter and entrusted the responsibility of running the administration of Delhi to Razia, not to his sons. So, and then he went away to the Gwalior campaign. In the absence of her father, Razia ran the administration beautifully. Okay, nobody could feel the difference because the daughter was running the administration equal to or better than her father. And you have the praise of the Chalisa. The Chalisa members were very impressed with Razia because the way she conducted herself and ran the administration. So by giving this responsibility to Razia, Iltutmish had expressed his desire that he would want her to succeed him to the throne. He had expressed his desire that he would want her to succeed him to the throne. Right? And then he died. Iltutmish died. Once Iltutmish died, we have one of the sons of Iltutmish, Ruknuddin Firuz, was placed on the throne. His name was Ruknuddin Firuz. He was one of the sons of Iltutmish. He was placed on the throne, and the claims of Razia were set aside. Now, why was not Razia recognized as a sultan? Because she was a female. She was a female, and as I told you, in Islam, in Islamic law, in an Islamic state, you cannot call the Delhi Sultanate as an Islamic state because majority of the population were Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, etc. It was not Islam. They were not following Islam. But then the ruler was a Muslim. So here, she was a female, and therefore she was found not suitable to occupy the throne of the Sultan. So Ruknuddin Firoz was placed on the throne, and the claims of Razia were set aside. Everybody knew, the Chalisa members knew, with the mind of Iltutmish, that he wanted her, Razia, to succeed him to the throne. So Ruknuddin Firoz became the Sultan, and during his period, we have a number of revolts which began. He was not able to run the administration properly. He was inefficient, incapable Sultan, and he one after another in different places, revolts began to occur. So one day, Ruknuddin Firoz went out of Delhi with his army to put down a major revolt. Razia seized the opportunity. Razia seized the opportunity of the absence of her brother, and with the help of some Chalisa members, she came to power. And once she came to power, she ordered the execution of Ruknuddin Firoz. So Razia ordered the execution of Ruknuddin Firoz, and Ruknuddin Firoz was killed. And Razia became the Sultana, the only woman ruler to sit on the throne of Delhi. She was the only woman ruler to sit on the throne of Delhi, Razia Sultana. Okay, So I will just discuss the PPT till here. Let us come to the PPT back, and then I'll continue the story. Are you there with me, all of you? So, or should I continue the story? Should I continue the story, or should we discuss the PPT and come back? PPT. Okay. So we'll come back here. PPT. Okay. Thank you. So you see here we have Qutbuddin Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak probably looked like that. Qutbuddin Aibak. He ruled only for 4 years, as you can see, 1206 to 1210. Founder of the slave dynasty, Turk of the Aibak tribe. Okay, all the others belong to the Ilbari tribe. Only Aibak belonged to the Aibak tribe. I already told you this. So he was appointed as the governor of Indian possessions of Gori. Did not make any fresh conquests. Then he ruled from Lahore. Lahore in Pakistan was his capital. He never took the title of Sultan. He instead called himself Malik and Sipah Salar. Built the city of Meheroli. We have seen this. And known for his generosity, earned the sobriquet, the title Lag Baksh, giver of lakhs. And in 1210, died of a sudden fall from a horse at Lahore while playing Chaugan or polo. You can see here in the picture. So he died while playing Chaugan or polo at Lahore. And Aibak built the Quwwatul Islam Mosque. Yeah, this is the oldest mosque in North India. Quwwatul Islam Mosque at Delhi. This is called the Might of Islam Mosque. Oldest mosque in North India, whereas the oldest mosque in India is in Kerala. It is called Chiraman Juma. Chiraman Juma is the oldest mosque in India, built by Arab merchants in Kerala. So he built the Quwwatul Islam Mosque in North India, in Delhi, and also the Adai Din Ka Jhompra at Ajmer. This is another mosque, Adai Din Ka Jhompra at Ajmer. So two mosques were built by Aibak. Then he laid the foundation of the Qutub Minar. We have discussed this in memory of the Sufi saint, in honor of the Sufi saint, Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki. Now, you see here, this is the Qutub Minar. Okay, it has how many stories? Initially, it had 4 stories. Initially, 4 stories. Foundation, as you all know, was laid by Aibak. So Aibak was the one who laid the foundation. Aibak was the one who laid the foundation. Then it was completed by Iltutmish. Completed by Iltutmish. And originally 4 stories. Originally 4 stories. Right? Now, during the time of Firuz Shah Tughlaq, there was a lightning strike. A lightning struck the 4th story. So it got damaged. So Firuz repaired the 4th story. He repaired the 4th story and added a 5th tower to it, or a 5th story to it. 5th story was added by him. Repaired the 4th story and added a 5th story. A 5th story, right? Now, what was the purpose of the Qutub Minar? Why was it constructed? You might ask. So, what was the purpose of the Qutub Minar? This was for the. It was initially constructed for the Maulvi to call the faithful to prayer. So it was meant for the Maulvi to call the people for namaz. Allahu Akbar. You must have heard this, The Maulvi is, he stands in a pulpit in a mosque. He stands at a place called a pulpit, and from there he calls out for the people. It's time for prayers. Please come. I believe during the time of Prophet Muhammad, the Maulvi would stand on the tallest sand dune in the Arabian desert, and then he'll call the faithful to prayer. So originally, the Qutub Minar was meant for the Maulvi to call the faithful to prayer. That is called the people for namaz. But later, so what is the height of this Qutub Minar? 73 meters. 73 meters in height. Now imagine Maulvi has to climb 5 times up and 5 times down. So he will be ready for Olympics in a year. It's not easy. And don't take me otherwise. Jokes apart, it would be very difficult to climb 73 meters and then call the faithful to prayer and come down every day 5 times. Okay, so therefore, it was converted into a Jayasthamba or a victory pillar. It began to be called as a victory pillar. Later Jayasthamba. It was converted into victory pillar. Did you understand? Hello, are you there with me? So originally built by considered of 4 stories. Fifth story was added by Firoz after he repaired the 4th story. Now, if you see the picture here, first three stories are of sandstone. First three stories are of sandstone. Okay, with flute and flanges. With flute and flanges. That is the design. You can see these ribs, you can see these ribs like this. This is called flute and flanges. So first 3 stories of sandstone with flute and flanges. The last 2 stories were made of marble. Last two stories are of marble. Yes, last part, repeat. Last part, what the Kennedy? So first 3 stories were made of marble with flute and flanges, design called flute and flanges. Last 2 stories made of marble and they don't have any flute and flanges. This is the Qutub Minar, the tallest stone tower in India. Yeah, are they counting from the ground? Obviously, it cannot be built from top to down, isn't it? It has to be from the lower part, from the ground level to the top. Kennedy, obviously it will be counted like that. Did you get me, Kennedy? Can I move on? Hello? Okay, so here we have the Saint Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki, in whose memory or whose honor this stone tower was begun to be constructed. The foundation was laid by Aibak. It was completed by Iltutmish. So Hazrat Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki has been buried in Mehroli. And his dargah remains popular, I believe, even now. Then we have Hassan Nizami, who was patronized by Aibak. He wrote the first official history of the Delhi Sultanate. It was called Tajul Masir in Persian language. This is the Tajul Masir, written in Persian language by Hassan Nizami. Jayastamba, see, initially it was meant for the Maulvi to call the faithful to prayer, to call the people for namaz. That was the purpose why this stone tower was built. But later it was converted into a victory tower, Jayastamba. Jayastamba means victory tower. Then we come to Aram Shah. So here Aibak died suddenly from the fall of his horse. While playing Chaugan. And Aram Shah, his son, became the next Sultan. He proved himself inexperienced, incapable. Okay, as a result, he was deposed by Aibak's son Iltutmish. You have the Maliks, the military commanders elected Iltutmish as their king. Elected Iltutmish. They elected Iltutmish as Sultan, the military commanders. The Shamshuddin Iltutmish, full name Shamshuddin Iltutmish. He was a slave and son-in-law of Aibak. He had been appointed as the governor of Budaun in UP. He transferred his capital from Lahore to Delhi. We have seen this, and he defeated two rivals of his, that is Tajuddin Yildiz and Nasruddin Kubacha. So they questioned the right of Iltutmish to call himself the Sultan at Delhi. Tajuddin Yildiz was ruling over Ghazni and Nasruddin Kubacha over Multan. So he defeated both of them. Introduced the silver tanka and the copper jital. One tanka is equal to 48 jitals. You can see here, this is a silver tanka and this is the copper jital. Both introduced by Iltutmish. One tanka is equal to 48 jitals. Atish Kaur, Qutub Minar in Delhi. Name of Sufi saint, Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki. Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki. So these names, you may be hearing it for the first time. So therefore, when you revise, it becomes easy. Okay, please revise. Revise Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki. Yeah, it was completed by Iltutmish. Foundation was laid by Firoz. If there's a question asked, who built Qutub Minar? What is the answer? Who built Qutub Minar? Atish, Kennedy, Kula, Himali. Answer that. Jia says Iltutmish. Satyanarayana says Iltutmish. Kennedy says Aibak. Kula says Aibak. You should give the answer. Jia, why Iltutmish? Atish, Jia, why the Iltutmish? Why not Aibak? Satyanarayana, we know that built by Iltutmish but founder Aibak. Jia completed it. Whoever completes it, Atish is right, Jia is right. Whoever completes that structure, completes the building, the credit goes to him. The foundation was laid by Aibak, we all know that, but he did not complete it. It was completed by Iltutmish. So if there's a question asked, who built the Qutub Minar, the answer is Iltutmish. It is not Aibak. Aibak laid the foundation, completed by Iltutmish. Okay, right. And some students said, sir, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, because he had a fifth story. But then Firoz Shah Tughlaq came much later, isn't it? Originally, it was of 4 stories, and he built a fifth story. So he was not that it was complete. He completed it. It was completed by Iltutmish, not Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Right. So we come to we were discussing Iltutmish. He introduced the silver tanka and the copper jital. Then he divided the empire into numerous big and small iktas. We have seen this iktas. So an assignment of land in lieu of salary. Instead of giving salary, he gave them land grants, right? And then he created a governing class called Turkani Chihalgani or Chalisa, a group of 40 members, though they were not 40 in number. Then we have the attack of the Mongols under Genghis Khan. He was chasing Jalaluddin Mangbarani, the Khwarizmi prince. You see, probably Genghis Khan looked like this. Genghis Khan. So here he was chasing Jalaluddin Mangbarani, the Khwarizmi prince, and he came running to the borders of India, Jalaluddin Mangbarani, asking for asylum. But politely it was refused by Iltutmish. Thus, he saved the infant Delhi Sultanate from a possible Mongol invasion. Only after the death of Genghis Khan, he conquered all these areas, Multan, he reconquered Multan, Bengal, Bihar, and conquered Ranthambore and Mandore in Rajasthan. Right? He obtained a Mansur, a letter of investiture from the Caliph of Baghdad. Only 3 sultans received a Mansur and got it. One was Iltutmish, the second was Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the third was Firoz. Iltutmish is considered to be the real founder of the Delhi Sultanate. He was the one who gave it a capital city, Delhi, a sovereign state, a monarchical form of government, a tanka or a currency, and a governing class. He laid the foundations of the medieval administrative institutions. So he nominated his daughter Razia as his successor, but after his death, Ruknuddin Firuz, one of the sons of Iltutmish, was placed on the throne, and Razia took an opportunity when her brother was not there. So she came to the throne with the help of the Chalisa members, and then she put her brother Ruknuddin Firuz to death. and she became the Sultana. So this is, Razia Sultana. Can we continue the story? Razia. So Razia Sultana. You can see her on your screen. Razia. Now, Razia Sultana. So she was the only woman ruler to sit on the throne of Delhi. Only woman ruler of Delhi. And we have seen this when her father went away on the Gwalior campaign. Razia had proved her mettle, how good she was as an administrator, as a ruler. And we are told by the contemporary historian Minhaj-us-Siraj. Minhaj-us-Siraj tells us, a contemporary historian, Minhaj-us-Siraj. Minhaj-us-Siraj. He tells us that she was bestowed with all the admirable qualities necessary for a king. But unfortunately, she was born of the wrong sex, and therefore, in the estimation of men, all these qualities were useless. That's what Minhaj-us-Siraj says. She was endowed, that is, bestowed, blessed with all the qualities necessary for a king. But unfortunately, she belonged to the wrong sex. She was a female. And therefore, all those qualities, in the estimation of men, were useless. So, Razia was trained by her father. He wanted her to succeed him to the throne. So, she was a superb markswoman. So, when she took aim and discharged the arrow, most of the time it will go and hit the bullseye. She was a very good swordswoman. She would fight, she was a very good swordswoman, a very good archer. She would ride the horse, she would ride the elephant. And when she became Sultana, she appeared without the veil. The veil, that is the Muslim, the veil. They're supposed to cover their face, Muslim girls. But here, in 13th century India, Razia Sultana appeared without the veil, right? And she would conduct a darbar, an open darbar, without a veil. And she would also conduct campaigns, lead the army from the front. So she was having all those qualities necessary for a king. Unfortunately, she was of the wrong sex. Now, what happened is when she came to power, she had many enemies. One is, of course, the Prime Minister Junaidi. Prime Minister Junaidi did not like her. Then she had a stepmother, Shah Turkan. Shah Turkan was the stepmother. She did not like her. So here, what happened is Razia tried to create a parallel group of ministers. Many ministers have supported her. Chalisa members, the group of 40 ministers established by her father. I mean, most of them were supporting Razia. But then when she saw that there was a certain amount of opposition, only because she was a female, she tried to create a parallel group of ministers who will support her. So she had a favorite called Jamaluddin Yaqut. Jamaluddin Yaqut. He was a Abyssinian. He was he, he was from Abyssinia. Abyssinia is the old name of Ethiopia. What we now call Ethiopia. The old name is Abyssinia. So he had come from Abyssinia or Ethiopia. Jamaluddin Yaqut. So she appointed Jamaluddin Yaqut as Amir-e Akur. Amir-e Akur, that is master of the stables, master of cavalry or master of stables. And whenever she was free from her kingly duties, she would spend quite a lot of time with Jamaluddin Yaqut. And since she appeared without the veil, the ulemas did not like her. Ulemas are the Muslim religious teachers. Ulemas, they also opposed her. And we see that revolts began to take place only because she was a female. And the governors, the Iqtadars, felt Please understand, we are talking about 13th century India. We are talking about 13th century India. Even now, um, traditional Muslim girls find it very difficult not to wear the veil. They have been tutored from young age to cover their face, cover their hair, because that is a part of the Islamic law. In Islam, that is a rule. You're not supposed to show the hair, you're not supposed to show your face, etc. So they do it. India is much more liberal, but in places like Gulf countries, Saudi, it's very very strict. So here revolts began to take place because the Iqtadars had to bow down before a female. Though she was Sultana, they had to go and bow down before her, and they did not like it. The male ego was hurt, was pricked, and revolts began to take place. So what did Razia do? She took her army, and along with Jamaluddin Yaqut, began to put down those revolts one after another. Okay, one serious revolt took place at Batinda, Sirhind or Batinda, and the governor of Batinda or Sirhind was a person called Altunia. So when this Altunia revolted, Razia took her army and went to put down that revolt. But then Altunia managed to kill Yaqut. Jamaluddin Yaqut was killed by Altunia, and Altunia imprisoned Razia. Razia was imprisoned. Okay. Now, no army, no backup, or no um, assistance was sent to Razia from the capital, from Delhi. So when they came to know that Razia was defeated and she has been imprisoned by Altunia, another son of Iltutmish was placed on the throne. His name was Alauddin Masood Shah. Let me get that right. His name was Alauddin, no, Moizuddin Baharam Shah. I'm sorry, Moizuddin Baharam Shah, and then Alauddin Masood Shah. So here, Moizuddin Baharam Shah was placed on the throne. So Razia has been imprisoned. So immediately, a person called Moizuddin Baharam Shah was placed on the throne. He was one of the sons of Iltutmish. So he was declared as the next emperor, next king, Moizuddin Baharam Shah. Now Razia had lost everything in a jiffy. She lost Yaqut, she lost Delhi, and she lost her throne. And she is now a prisoner in the hands of Altunia. And she was a very smart girl, Razia. You know what she did? She proposed marriage to Altunia. She told Altunia, "Let us get married," right? So that she could come out of prison. Not that she liked him; she wanted to get out of prison. So Razia proposed marriage, and Altunia agreed. Why? Because this fellow thought, Altunia, if he marries Razia, he will get the throne of Delhi, right? So Altunia married Razia, and both of them took their army and they marched towards Delhi. But who wanted her back in Delhi? Nobody. So an army was sent, and on the way, both were killed. This was the end of Razia Sultana. She ruled only for 4 years. Did you understand? Hello. Maulvi is the head of a mosque. Ulema are the Muslim religious teachers. It has a group. Muslim religious teachers are called ulemas. Maulvi is the head of a mosque. No? Did you get me here, all of you? Okay, so that was the end of. Altunia was also killed, Puja. Altunia was also killed along with Razia. So we have quickly a power struggle going on in Delhi. Moizuddin Baharam Shah ruled for about 2 years, 2 or 4 years. He was killed. And then we have uh, Alauddin Masood Shah. He also came to power. He was one of the sons of Iltutmish again. He was also killed. So you see, you have rival ministers. So you have groupism in the Delhi Sultanate court. You have a group of ministers. Let us say, take this example here. Let's say a sultan has 4 sons, A, B, C, D. Okay, these are the 4 sons of a sultan. Okay, now let's say A is the ruler. A is the ruler, and a group of ministers have backed him. Now there'll be a rival group of ministers whose candidate is C. Let's say there are 10 ministers supporting C. Okay, there are, let us say, 8 ministers supporting B. There are 15 ministers supporting D. So each of these ministers want their own candidate to be on the throne. So what happened is rival ministers, rival groups killed Muizzuddin Bahram Shah and placed Alauddin Masood Shah on the throne. In turn, he was killed within 2 years, and another person called Nasruddin Mahmud was placed on the throne. Nasruddin Mahmud. He was also a son of Iltutmish. So we have power struggle going on here. Did you understand what I just now told you? You can see here on your screen. Muizzuddin Bahram Shah, Alauddin Masood Shah, Nasruddin Mahmud. All these three were the sons of Iltutmish. One after another, they were placed on the throne. And when Nasruddin Mahmud was the Sultan, understand this, when Nasruddin Mahmud became the Sultan, he had one minister under him. His name was Balban. His name was Balban. And he was the power behind the throne. Nasruddin Mahmud was the Sultan, but the administration was run by Balban. Right? Connection loss after Junaidi's part. Kennedy. You listen to the recorded version, Kennedy, that part. Okay, because I've covered quite a lot. So Prime Minister Junaidi, he was, he was opposed to Razia. Stepmother Shah Turkan was opposed to Razia. Even the ulemas were opposed to Razia, right? That's what I said. And then she had a favorite called Jamaluddin Yaqut, who was an Abyssinian slave. Abyssinia is the old name of Ethiopia. And she appointed him as Amiri Akur, master of stables. And revolts began to take place because she was a female. The Iqtadars were not ready to accept Razia as their sultan. And one serious revolt took place at Batinda under Altunia. He was the governor of Batinda, and Razia went to put down that revolt, but Altunia killed Yaqut. Jamaluddin Yaqut was killed. Razia was imprisoned, right? And then quickly, Muizzuddin Bahram Shah was placed on the throne. No assistance was sent to rescue the queen, Razia. Muizzuddin Bahram Shah was placed on the throne. And then of course, Razia married Altunia. She proposed marriage to extricate herself from that precarious situation. And he married her because he thought that he can get the throne of Delhi by marrying Razia. And they both proceeded towards Delhi with their army, but on the way they were killed because nobody wanted Razia back on the throne. So there was a power struggle after the death of Razia. Muizzuddin Bahram Shah, one of the sons of Iltutmish, was placed on the throne. He was killed by rival ministers who placed Alauddin Masood Shah, their candidate, on the throne. And those who did not like Alauddin Masood Shah killed him, and they placed their candidate, Nasruddin Mahmud, on the throne. And the person who supported Nasruddin Mahmud as Sultan was Balban. Right? This is where I stopped. Are you there with me, all of you? Okay. Now, let us hear about the fascinating story of Balban. So Balban is considered to be the greatest of the slave sultans. Among the Ilbari Turks, the greatest was Balban. We have four important: Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, Razia, and Balban. Balban was the greatest of the slave kings or the Ilbari Turks. We'll talk about it. Can we go for a break and come? It is 4:50 now. Because I begin with Balban in 10 minutes, I'll not be able to stop. So we can go for an early break, a 10 minutes early break, and come back and start with Balban. Okay, is it fine? So we meet at what time? We meet at 5:20. Is it fine? Half an hour break. We meet at 5:20. 5:20 we meet. For 40 minutes you want, Puja. 40 minutes will be too much. 5:20 is fine, na? It's now 4:50. 4:48 on my watch. So recommended break is 5:20 is fine. 5:20 will meet. 5:20. So come back at 5:20 p.m. Okay, carry on.